Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gorgeous George's extravaganza. I look as good as I look. I got the nose hair out. I shaved, but me being an Italian, the hair comes back a little bit faster. So sometimes I can't help it, but I do the very best that I can do, and that is what is causing all this. Hence the book on Amazon. What is causing all this for $29.99 is a good read. Read it. Tonight we have Watt in the house.
Hey.
Watt. And then, so what we're going to do, I tell you what. Well, that's okay. What do you think? You want to play that thing?
Oh yeah, my stuff.
Okay. I think this was extremely funny. We're going to be at this for a little bit, probably about an hour to an hour and a half. It's going to take at least that to get all this in. I have a lot to say, and I want you all to take your number 2 pencils out, and I want you to understand every word that comes out of my mouth, because this is the very last time that I speak about any troll or speak about any goon. This is going to be the last one, and this is going to be the one to spoon feed you all and make sure you understand. Let's give a little listen here that I find very funny going against those trolls. Maybe we can just listen to it, and that would be great, and we'll put it on my channel as well. Go ahead and press it there. This is Watt, and what he does good. What he does pretty good.
You'd never ask.
Let's hear it.
Sweet shit.
This is a diss track from a real G to Eugene.
Tonight's show, by the way, Miller Lite Highlight.
Okay. I got 30 seconds to spare.
Oh my God.
Oh, sorry, bro, man. My feet get shaved sometimes, man.
You said we
Is it-
suck? In a fucked up van? Yo, man. I don't really understand. A homeless guy 3,000 miles away is making you day. Making you pay all your shame for the game that you play. Because you're drinking all the saloons. What's the difference between George and you? You're some fucked up goons and your guitar is way out of tune.
Yeah.
You self-admitted buffoon, still tripping because daddy never took you to the zoo. What the fuck's
Got
wrong
him.
with you? Calling me homeless when I got an apartment with 2 rooms. Working a job, pushing a dustpan and 2 brooms. A push broom and the sweepy. All your rhymes and your songs and your words make me sleepy. Oh my gosh, I'm catching Z's, sawing logs overseas. Oh my God, I'm building ships coming in like the Trojan army.
Yeah.
Except you're Troy. You're on the shores of an old story with a young boy coming in with all the glory that I took from you before, and now I abhor the sight of you, so I'm coming back for more, coming in like a Trojan horse. Just a Greek. I'm Achilles. I'm sweet.
Word.
To your mother.
I can't be beat. You're already beat.
Your sister
But I'm
and
blowing
your
these beats and I
half-brother.
don't. And taking them to the streets at home, and you're just acting sweet, but you're alone. So I don't know what your problem is, because I watched all your vids and I watched all your songs, and they're just regurgitated gay shit, and then you're calling us gay, and I don't know what's legit, because I say you got a son, but I think your son's about to say shit. My father's a trench patrol. I'm raising a 40-year-old. So look, you shouldn't have said we suck. What the fuck? Your guitar's out of tune, and you always talk about busting nuts, and you act like you got guts, but you're picking on a goon 2,000 miles away, like he's got hell to pay when your city's burning. What can I say? Go talk to MS-13 like that if you're really down with the rap, you know, if you're scared of the fucking devil rapist, man, then maybe you should get a racist pen and grab your balls and talk some shit, because all the spinning narratives are just making you look like you can't spit.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, so that was Watt Smith. It wasn't Jerry Mathers. It was Watt Smith doing his thing. It wasn't Eminem. It was WS. Watt Smith. There you go. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not into rap, but that was poetic. And it kind of, if you have to have a real sharp mind to grasp that, and for you goons and for you trolls out there, some of you probably didn't grasp that because you're kind of a little bit brain dead. All right, I'm going to say a few things. Tonight is the night. This is the very last show that I do, goon related, troll related. We're going to take the dust, like you were saying, take the dustpan and the broom, and we're going to do a full sweep, and we're going to correct some narratives. Before we get to those two videos, I want to say a few things first. We'll try to keep it. I mean, we're looking at an hour and a half, but so be it. It is what it is. I'm going to say this really fast. Eugene, you are a stupid motherfucker. You don't really understand much of it. You're a stupid motherfucker. I will drop your docs. I will drop any docs I need to. And matter of fact, if I wanted to drop Angela's docs, I'll drop her docs. If you want to bring yourself down here and take this on, bring it. I'm not hard to find. If you want to come down here and take this on, it'll be a mistake because I'll take your fat ass and roll you. Okay? Yes, I'm losing a little weight now. This man's losing a little weight. He's doing yoga. Yeah. I'm going to get into yoga. I'm going to get I'm going to do some stuff. And these phone calls that we've been getting from that Xanax little creep named Tyler, middle finger all day, all night. You're repped up on Xanax and you want to keep calling here and talking about this and that, poo-hoo-hoo. Maybe the babysitter should have raped you. Okay? Maybe the babysitter that you had a problem with should have raped you because you're talking a lot of crap and you keep calling my phone line up. You ain't going to do that anymore because I've taken care of that situation, if you know what I mean. And Eugene, for God's sakes, ice cream music, you're a stupid motherfucker. It's Music Box Dancer by Frank Mills. Instrumental song. You are so stupid. God, Ice Cream is a song that came out in the late 70s, an instrumental track that came out. But obviously you wouldn't understand that because you're a little bit dead in the head. Yeah. And and Luis, you add nothing to that. I mean, yes, you add your little diatribe on that show is boring. You can't even speak English. You're Puerto Rican. God bless you. You're Puerto Rican. I'm not trying to sound like an Archie Bunker right here. That's the last thing that I'm doing. But if you're American, you need to speak the language because it's like you got mush in your mouth and you got shit that you can't say or speak. Take care of that so we can understand what you're saying. And Ballhead Deuce, come on down here, okay? I'll put your head in the toilet and then I'll flush it. You want to come out here, Deuce or Deese? Bring your ass to Richmond. Come up north from Alabama, okay? Because we know that you're the janitor. You're the freaking janitor is what you are. And you worked in some kind of place there. And for God's sakes, get your girlfriend's pubic hair and get some Elmer's glue and take her pubic hair and stick it on your bald head because I don't want to see your face. You look like someone that came out of a mental ward. You want a piece of me? Come on. You want to talk shit? You want a piece of me? Bring it. I don't care. I'm not impressed. And who am I leaving out? Important people that I'm leaving out. Well, we all know about Martine Holmgren. You're a puss, okay? You're a piece of shit. You're the one in Great Britain. Martine Holmgren with your Marty McFly bullshit. Mm-hmm. You are a piece of shit. And Henry Mitchell, you are his gopher, okay? You were over at Melito's. You know the owner of Melito's. I've already spoken to Richard. He didn't respond back to me. You want to have lunch at Melito's, okay? You want to meet me over Melito's, bitch? I'll smack the piss out of you. I know what you look like. I know where you live. I know you live in Norfolk. I know a little more than you care to know. And I know that people at Platinum Plus are willing to go ahead and drop the bomb and to go ahead and speak and say all they need to know about you. So you're much PI as my penis is. And you're not a freaking PI. You take it, you go play the game of Clue. Because you need to get a fucking clue. Now, I've got all the incidental small pieces taken care of right now. We are going to correct the narrative for the very last time. I'm tired of this. I'm sick and tired of this. Let my girl rest in peace, for you motherfuckers. Let my girl rest in peace. Before we get to that, I'd be remiss to forget one thing. So today, Jamie's ex, Orlando Hernandez, and I spoke. And I didn't realize who he was. He was emailing me and I didn't recognize him and whatnot. So Orlando Hernandez came and made some comments talking a bunch. He seemed to know a lot because obviously the trolls have informed him and whatnot. I try to be respectful to you. I tried to listen to you on the phone. I said, dude, I said, I had a problem with you because you obviously were with someone that I loved. And you want to come at me and talk about what I did to her by turning her into jail, by turning her in. I'm going to tell you what I did. I did the most compassionate thing that I could do. I went ahead and wanted her to dry up. I wanted her to get clean. That was the whole intentions from the very beginning. We argued because of the old man. The old man played an intricate role because of why we always would argue. And you were a good reason why we argued too. So you want to talk about what I did and I was the cause of her death? Listen, you motherfucker, you would let her sit outside, not come back inside the apartment with a bunch of your Mexicans in there, a bunch of amigos in there that would try to bother her when she was sleeping. And that's why she couldn't stay there. She couldn't deal with that crap. And you let her sit outside near the dumpster in the apartment complex, which he had told me that. Okay, so let's get straight. Now, knowing all of that, I tried to be polite to you. I tried to respect you. I said, dude, I said, look, I said, we have our differences, but one thing we have in common, I would hope, there's no doubt that I love her. And I still love her. And I know that you cared about her too in your own little way. And then you're going to start attacking me? You are an illegal alien. You probably still are an illegal alien. Yes, I said I was going to deport you, and I probably should have deported you. I was joking with her, is all I was doing. So you want to come at me like that? Come at me like that. Dude, I really didn't want to go there with you because I know you probably had a hard life. You're in America, you're trying to work, and you're trying to do your thing. You've learned the language, obviously. You can speak English, which is good. And I don't really have a problem with you. It was at the time where I was angry and you were a part of the problem. But I'd like to at least say, try to be peaceful with you, and yet you want to come attack me? Know the facts before you attack me. But I know the facts because she told me. So let's get that straight. Now, what am I leaving out? Okay, Angela. The reason why we're here tonight is because of Angela May Sanders, better known as Angela May Bolton. Might be related to Michael Bolton. We don't know yet. That's okay. I'm going to come at this right now. Today, she emailed me. And she's been emailing me just keeps emailing me nonstop a bunch of rubbish, a bunch of garbage. She emailed me today to say to me, I should apologize. I'm with my friends and they told me that you should apologize to me because you caused me all this heartache and all these problems and whatnot. Woman, I was respectful to you. When you and I were we weren't really dating. I banged the hell out of you, and you know I banged you. You want to ignore the fact that you got banged 7 days to Sunday. You were banged upside down all around at the Best Western Hotel, and you know that. But you can sit there and say you weren't when you know damn well you were. and you want to change the narrative. That's what you're trying to do. Well, this is the correct narrative. What I say in that book of what's causing all of this was the correct narrative. And this is the correct narrative. Okay? So we're going to get to that other stuff in a minute. We're going to get into that Will Markland, that wannabe actor. A wannabe actor that had non-speaking roles and got his acting from SAG. I can go to DC, Watt, and get a non-speaking role and can be paid peanuts like he gets paid also too. Doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of beer, right? I'm going to drink some of the Miller High Life real fast. Excuse me for a second. They didn't have Corona, so I took the Miller High Life to the challenge. All right. And where my train of thought? So you're saying that I should say I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You called me up crying that your dog had died. You called me up that afternoon crying about Biggie dying. And I was very sympathetic. I tried to console you. I did all I could, compassion, to give you my condolences. And about 5 minutes after that conversation, you dropped the bomb on me. Okay? Not the Gap Band, but you dropped the bomb on me that you've spoken to that foreigner. And then the brakes start slamming the brakes. Pump the damn brakes. You know damn well that was a good way to get me up to the high level of anger. You hated these people. You were the one that helped me from the very beginning to remove all that shit off of YouTube, all that garbage off of YouTube. You were the one that showed me and gave me the way to do it. You helped me tremendously. You were a confidant. You were a friend at the beginning. You stopped coming, that's fine. So the majority of our friendship, after I banged the hell out of you the 4 times you came here, the majority of our association was via phone. So now, something happened midstream, I don't know, because I guess you were so damn jealous of Jamie and jealous of whoever else. That's why I didn't want to bring up Jamie's name to you, because I knew that you were obsessive, yet you never came back to Virginia. So I'm supposed to sit here and wait for you to want to come back to Richmond and wait for you. No. I am a man. I have needs. I have wants. Besides, Lo, you were not on the same level as Jamie. Jamie was up here, and you were right in the middle, like down to here. I was not attracted to you that way, but I considered you as a friend. I considered you as a confidant, as a friend. So you're crying to me, you were upset, that these trolls were doing this and you didn't like the trolls. You were the one that helped me get that PI against that troll, that disturbed troll there in New Jersey. You're the one that split that bill. Now, you can deny that also too, but we know you did. You deny a lot of things. You deny a lot of stuff, but you want to fit their narrative. That we do know. You also went ahead and, like I said, so you're crying about your dog dying. I've been sympathetic with you, trying to listen to you, and then you dropped the bomb on me about talking to the trolls. Talking to the trolls about what? You told me that you weren't talking about me, you were talking about Jamie. So you kind of said you were talking about Jamie and what she was and her addiction and all that. And then it's kind of funny how you twisted things up. Because at first you didn't think that I had sex with her because she had MRSA. You didn't think I had sex with her because she had MRSA. Well, her MRSA was very treatable. And at the time when she was with me, she didn't have MRSA. Of course, she had MRSA when she was with the old man. That's a different story. When we had MRSA with the old man, that was a totally different story altogether. But when she was with me, the 6 months, not 2 months, but the 6 months that she was with me, she was fine. She didn't have MRSA. So that's what started it. And then Kristen and I were on the phone, then you talked to me and Kristen on the phone, and you were trying to listen to the conversation. Then you went full AWOL. Then you started going off, and then you went off. Don't you call me again. Don't you talk to me. I mentioned to you about Ellen Ferguson. Of course, you drop her information and whatnot. The woman is recently deceased, was deceased back in June. It's none of your business, but Ellen Ferguson passed away June 28th. She deceased. And that was, I don't know, because don't know much about it. I just happened to see it on her Facebook. Pretty sad, but that's not my thing, whatever it was. She had her own issues, and I don't really care. But you seem to, when I told you about her, mentioned her name, you got all so crazy, and you went off on me just like went off on me. And then you started this shit by talking to them. I didn't have a way to contact you, and there was no way to contact you and whatnot, and there was no way to sit down. So then this is where it all went down to hell. You already knew the hell I went through with Michael Saunders, and you added to it. You knew that Michael Saunders, you couldn't stand the bastard, and you couldn't stand him, and then all of a sudden he's a good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. And then all the trolls became good people because of what you thought, And Will Marklin, the wannabe actor, and Sean Brennan, the facala. They're all good people. Yeah, okay. And then the rest of them. And these people, they start recruiting more people constantly recruit more people. But you did the unthinkable. And you start telling them a bunch of half-truths or no truths, a bunch of exaggerated bullshit. And we're going to get into that right now. We're going to get into this right frickin' now on this first thing when this bitch is reading. Now, we're going to get into it right now. Will Marklin is reading alleged text messages. What? Let's make sure we're on the same page. Let's go ahead.
This video is a collection of texts obtained by
Listen to this garbage.
Angela and Jamie about a year before Jamie died. These texts contain heavy amounts of gaslighting and accounts of mental abuse by George towards Jamie. I'll be reading their entire text conversation. I apologize if my pacing sucks. I'm used to non-speaking roles, so I don't have a lot of practice.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
The video, however, make sure you unmute at the end, as Jay will come on and talk about how we got the information and reflect on what we've heard so far. Jamie says, Jesus, Angela, thank you so much. I've been scrambling all around town trying to figure out where on earth I'd be able to find an extra $60+ or more to add minutes. I play with it, though, every time I get someplace with Wi-Fi. Thank you a million times, thank you. Angela says, you're welcome. Jamie says, boss man here is pretty upset. I was out on the deck so long. What if I fell or needed you? So I got to stay in here and watch TV with him until he goes to sleep. Didn't mean to cut you off, but he panics. It's pretty much the whole job here, just being sure he knows somebody's around. Anyways, I'm not trying to be mean or ignore George, just trying to keep a peaceful air around me for a bit longer now that I'm finally sober and medicated again. But my hope is that George will realize that yelling at me and bombarding me with calls and texts is not any way to make me want to see him sooner.
Pause it.
Fingers crossed he calms down enough to actually talk when we do sit down.
All right. The old man had a hold on her. Old man was very rich. He had a lot of money. Jamie felt necessary to still continue that relationship with Gary because Gary had a lot of money. Gary was a benefactor. He gave her a lot of money. He had a big crush on her as well. Jamie was repulsed by him, but she was very repulsed by him, but she felt the need to be there for him because it was beneficial to her because he was paying her, and she had concern about his health and well-being, so she was trying to help him. So that was what she was doing in between the time that she was there. She would go there, she would go to different places, but she would go to his house and stay there. So she would could go and come as she pleased. He would go off on her. He would tell her not to associate with me. And we're going to get into that a little bit later on down the road in the situation of what she did because she was forced to do something she didn't want to do. And I'll get to that point once we get there. But anyway, go back to the thing there, if you would. And I'm going to grab another beer.
Can you do one?
Yes. Go ahead.
Thanks for talking to me. I'll call or text tomorrow. Angela says, okay, have a good night. Jamie says, I tried to get that stupid bitch a chance, and all he could do was start right with the same fucking horse shit. He is his own friggin' worst enemy, and I can't see it because his dumbass thinks everybody else is, quote, out to get him. Now that I tell the asshole I have to go back to work, stop texting me, what do you think? Of course, I'm getting 550,000 fucking texts so that I have to turn off my damn phone now, and
Pause
he makes me, he'll have shit to say
Jamie had a way of over-exaggerating things. Most of our arguments came from that old man. The fact that that old man was a wedge between Jamie and I and caused most of the arguments. Some of the arguments came because of the Mexican Orlando. And a lot of those arguments came from the fact that she was with Gary, and a lot of those arguments came with the fact that she was with Orlando. And that's where the arguments came from. She was very feisty. She was a person that she had her own mind. You couldn't tell her what to do. If you gave her advice, she would think that you were telling her what to do. She's a grown-ass woman, she says, and she can do what she wants. I said, honey, you can do whatever you want. I said, the only reason why I would try to talk and do this. So there was arguments. There were things that were had between us. I'm very passionate. If someone's not right, I'm going to speak. And sometimes she didn't like me overstepping because she thought that I was interfering at the beginning. And what I was trying to do was help her. These other two people weren't really helping her. If you want to get really technical about it, I was the one that was helping her. I was the one that was coming to her the places and trying to get her out of the certain places that she was going to. I was the one that found her on the street passed out. It was me that picked her up and put her in my cab. Okay? There were two different occasions where she was laying on the street. Jamie had a drug, a heroin addiction. I knew this, but I thought it was under control until later on when it started getting worse. Nobody had any effect. When a person does drugs, when a person does heroin, when a person does coke, as much as they try, sometimes they get it's you know, it gets in there. The Suboxone, she was taking Suboxone to stop doing the heroin. She's explained to me that the Suboxone was a derivative or deterrent from her wanting to have heroin or cocaine. And it was also derivative for anything else that she had to, or Xanax. There was times that she did Xanax and Adderall and Xanax, mixed them together. And she would get dreadfully sick. And I said, honey, you got to get control. It was me that was down her throat about getting control over it, and she did not want to hear that. And that was another reason why we would argue, because she didn't want me to tell her what to do. I wasn't telling her what to do. I was trying to be there as a positive force, but she was hearing none of it. But she knew, though, the one thing that she knew, that she was safe with me. That's why she came back to me. Go ahead.
About me ignoring his text. He's psychotic. Now, Jamie's phone kind of messes up here, and the first thing she sends is this email text that George had sent her, and then sends her reaction after. You are fucking user. Think I like you better drunk. You're going to sit there and play stupid after everything and know how I felt? That's fucked up. User all day and night. My feelings fucking don't matter. God fucking damn it. My life has been on fucking hold. The sacrifices I made just to be told this matters will take a loaded gun and shoot me in the face. Devalued once again. Mind fuck is what this is. You led me to believe we had our fucking chance. God damn you. Rot in hell.
Pause.
He's scaring me now for real.
Yes, I said all of that. I said it out of anger, because the reason why I said it, because she was drifting away. She was not going to work. She was missing time from work. I was the one that was taking her to work. Over and beyond that, I felt like we had something. I felt like we were tight. I felt like there was connection, but she was not consecutive. She told me she cared about me. She told me she loved me. She told me she cared about me, but she was distancing herself somewhat. And I felt that way. And yeah, you damn fucking right. I said that because I was angry. I was angry at her because it felt like she was something that was interference going on with the old man and the Mexican. And the Mexican and the old man were interfering in our relationship, or in interfering with her. So I felt like she was trying to appease everyone, trying to get out of a situation. So I kind of said things. I'm very passionate. I'm Italian. I say what's on my mind. We argued viciously. But it did not change the fact you argue with people that you love because you want them to do right and you want to get them. And if I didn't care, I would have said nothing. Okay.
That sounds like a story I'm familiar
Real,
with.
Angela, I'm trying to freaking sleep and I have an appointment tomorrow and I can't goddamn sleep because I woke up to pee and my phone's flashing with 100 friggin' text message and voicemails. Then my dumbass listened for 1 second just to see how flipped out he is since I know I'm gonna have to be downtown tomorrow. And the second one was not too long ago and don't know why it's sent now, but the first one is what he sent me when you were talking. How are you doing? I'm alright. I'm so much better now since I've been away from George, it's almost funny. It's as if the moment I stepped away from him, his mess, the sky opened up and all these blessings fell on me. I'm not particularly religious, but with the quickness with which I've accomplished so many things is on top of each other is a miracle for sure.
Pause it.
And George still harasses me daily, hourly.
Jamie had a way of over dramatizing things. When we would get into arguments, knowing that Angela gave her a phone, she would go to Angela. It's kind of like mom and dad. It's like she would, like if dad says no, and this is how it was, because I don't know what Angela was doing. Angela was just trying to get close to get information. But with me, I honestly gave a damn about what was going on. So it's kind of like a little kid doing with mom and dad, telling mom what dad did, and then telling dad what mom did. So if you think, Angela, that you were bosom buddies with her, she thought you were really weird. Okay? She might have said some things about me at the time, at the beginning, because she didn't really know me that well. Once she got to know me, okay, she knew exactly, she was safe with me. When she came back to me, she knew what was going on. And she could have said whatever she wanted to say. She was trying to get a reaction. She knew that of course, one thing that irritated the fuck out of her is when you kept coming and interfering, so she figured she would tell you what you wanted to hear. Or she would go ahead and do the same when we would argue. She would tell me stuff that you said or whatever. Jamie was not an angel, okay? Jamie was a drug addict. In that book, I didn't harp on that. In the book and everything I said, I didn't harp on that because I wanted to put her in the positive light. And I'm going to still put her in the positive light. But this has forced me to come out to say things that I don't want to say. Yes, Jamie was a drug addict. She played both sides to a point because she wanted to get what she wanted. She was what's the word I'm looking for? She was in survival mode. And I'm not faulting her for that. She had a hard time trying to get herself back. Okay? And if anything, if you want to get right down to the nooks and cranny, I was the most positive influence that she had. And you, Angela, only heard things from me and her. You did not live in Virginia, so you had no clue or nor idea of anything of what you were talking about. All premeditated, prefactured just to go with what they're saying. And so to close this all up, put a ribbon on this one little thing here, Jamie would say things to appease you. And then she would record things, arguments, to kind of make you just, okay, well, just to get away from it. But what it did was it pulled you closer because you wanted to get information. And the one thing that Roger said that held true, and I've said this myself, you held on to these messages 5 years later. You had a personal agenda to talk to these trolls many years ago. What other reason why would you hold on to messages that had nothing to really to do with you? Because you had in your mind that you were going to stab me in the back and go to these trolls. And whenever I didn't give you what you wanted, or say, hey, I'm all exclusively yours, when you didn't find the effort to even come back to Richmond. But again, I didn't think of you that way. So let it be known and let it be said. All right, Tor.
Sometimes consistently trying to tell me how bad my life is without him. That's what's really funny. He doesn't know how good things have gotten for me so fast. He thinks that he knows everything, but he doesn't get that I'm scared for him to see even for a moment. Scared that it'll jinx all of my good fortune.
It's all
so
drama.
He stays out of
All
the business
dramatized.
Until I'm absolutely
is.
certain that I can handle his shit again without letting it carry.
Because that's what they say, man, when they're stuck in that
Angela says,
lifestyle.
I'm glad things are going well for you.
They're like, "Can I
Jamie
pee?"
says, I've even started working a permanent job. I'm desperate to keep it a secret though, since he pulled that crap at my last job. Going in, talking to my boss, I'm assured at this place though won't take that. The owner don't take any shit. And he keeps a gun on premise, which he's not afraid to point at someone whomever he feels he should. He's foreign, and apparently I'm not the first girl to work with him who has a persistent fellow in my life. He said to let it go too far with that guy, so no worries if George wants to try and cause me grief. But I still would much prefer to keep this simple, tiny part of my life just for me. It's very relaxed, a very relaxed place, unlike anything I've done work-wise in a very long time. It's like to hold on to the calm, keep it as peaceful as long as I can. Are you still not speaking? Angela replies, no, I don't talk to him. Jamie says, that's good.
That's a lie. That was a lie.
How soon my life was so much better in every imaginable way when I stopped letting him into my head. Yeah, he will mess up your life. He is good at that. I'm glad you found a job. Jamie says, I'm just going to keep thinking he's drive by and see me and starts the same shit. Angela says, don't tell him where you work, and I doubt he'll be able to figure it out.
I knew where she worked at, bitch.
Jamie replied, for now it's a huge blessing, and if it works out, they don't pay for training, so I haven't made any money so far. But the girl I worked with last week told me she's leaving.
She worked at the place where I used to DJ at back in the day, right across from the Jefferson. So I knew where she worked at.
Me outside walking
Caribbean Mingles.
Road. So I've been walking the alleys, but once I've got tips on me, I'll just take the bus. I'm still worried about my things at his house. I could really use some of that friggin' stuff, but I'm not ready to deal with him yet. And he hasn't said anything about the stuff yet. Angela says, does he text you a lot? Sorry, I don't write a lot. I suck at texting. Jamie replies, oh my god. He's actually gotten a little bit better, believe it or not, though. Angela says, I think he drives around looking for you. I was talking to him once when he thought he saw you on the street. He turned around to check. You should get a car soon. Jamie says, I have thousands of dollars I owe in fines before I can get my license back, let alone pay for a car. I wish. Angela says, do you qualify for a restricted driver's license? Asks the DMV. Jamie says, yes, I do, but I have to start a payment plan to qualify. The friggin' payment plan is pretty much to pay the whole thing. They say since it's been inactive for so long term, my account was closed due to the court and sold to a collection agency.
Yeah.
The cool thing about that is they're willing to take a reduced sum if
But
I
she
could
saved
pay
the
any
recording.
kind of payment.
Jamie
Like,
recorded it, but she saved the
my
recording.
down payment
Angela saved it.
is required to even start any payment
Yeah,
plan with
Angela's
them.
really
Just
piece
for
of
a
work.
bit.
Yeah, she is a piece of work.
Payment, and I could have settled the whole damn thing.
Demented.
Gary made noises about paying to settle it.
Using the heroin
Since having a car would be such
pretty
a
much.
huge help to him.
Hey, I got an
But he
employee
was
for
just
$60
noise.
bucks.
When you got the settlement post offer, all he was
Secret
like,
shopper.
oh, that's not bad. You should do that certainly, and I can help you with that because it will help me. Then at some time I passed, I said,
She's got this guilt,
we're
man.
not really
She
going
can't
to pay
receive
off the
60
fines to
bucks.
that law firm, are we? Once I make the down payment, which was like $1,200 before, don't know how much interest has been added up since then. Then I've got to pay $115 towards federal fines and $85, I think, to the state. But all of it could have risen. Some interest is always a bitch. I know I won't be much more than $500 or $150 to $200 a month once I can knock off that chunk with the first deposited amount. Not a lot, but still more than I need to be putting out consistently while I'm on trying to figure out rent for myself. I probably need roommates. I was hoping my old roommates would be receptive, but they're pretty much done with me after the shit George pulled when I was over there.
Pause it.
Angela says, just so you can drive to work, that...
Well, again, those roommates were taking advantage of Jamie. There were 6 Mexican guys living in a 3-bedroom apartment. And they would drink, they would have beer cans all over the damn room. They would drink, they would do marijuana, they would stock up the damn place. The apartment complex, something had happened, and then they had to move out of the apartment because some of the neighbors complained. They moved across the way. And there was a lot of commotion because there was 6 Mexican people, men there, and 1 woman. And there was a lot of commotion, a lot of stuff. So finally, and I don't know all of this, but from what Jamie had told me, they wouldn't let her back in. This had nothing to do with me. She was living there, and then they booted her out because she was either, I don't know. But she said they wouldn't let her back in, so she was next to the dumpster outside near the apartment complex. So that's a real good way there, Mr. Orlando, to have a relationship with a woman by having her sleep near a dumpster and not letting her back in and letting your amigos dictate to you that why your girlfriend can't stay there. Yeah, that is what she had told me, contrary to this garbage that she's telling Angela. But then again, she's telling Angela this just to, well, whatever. I'm not.
She sees Angela as like not a dad, but kind of like,
Well,
like I owe you.
Again,
you're invested in
again,
me, she's sucking more out.
Jamie was not an angel. Jamie did some things, a little nefarious stuff and whatnot, because when she was on that stuff,
I can relate.
when she was on that stoked up and on that stuff, it alters the personality. Again, I don't want to. This nobody's business. But Angela went ahead and didn't make it any better. She capitalized on it, and she kept playing the damn drum there to make it look like whatever. So, again, Angela, you weren't here. You were only told what you were told. So you have no idea what the hell you were talking about. All right, go ahead.
That is expensive. What did he do? And doctor's appointments, therapies, medical stuff. Gary, the old guy, would have me doing, which would be a ton. Gotta tell you later.
And I paid for a lot of those medical expenses. George paid $800 for her medical expenses. That is a fact.
About to die. Phone is garbage. She gave me a cheap phone. I had him blocked for a few hours, and when I had enough of his bullshit for a while, so he started in again about how you send me a crap phone so you would look generous and kind, while really you just wanted to fuck with me and him.
That's what you were doing.
And he still can't reach me.
That's what you were doing there, Angela.
He's unbelievable friggin' retarded. I had to unblock him though because he started calling Gary's house phone at 11:40 at friggin' night. Woke the old man up and freaked him out. So now he's up watching TV, convinced that George is going to come here. He keeps looking outside and bitching about it being
She's
my
hanging
fault.
with a lot of pussy.
Oh my God.
Weirdo wriggle into my life. He's really mad that I haven't called the police. Says if I don't get the police involved, if George continues this way, he has no sympathy for me and wants no part of it.
And
So basically, George has successfully destroyed another one of my relationships with someone whose company I actually enjoy. I know now he won't ever stop this shit. Not until he's completely alienated me from everyone that I love. Not until he's taken everything from me. It's not going to happen, Angela. This is
They're
it.
taking everything from
I won't bug you about it anymore tonight, though. I'm going to try to get Gary to calm down and go back to sleep. Talk to you
You're taking
later.
everything from them.
Thank you again and again for the quote crap phone. I love it. Angela says, you are welcome. I want you to know that you are not legally liable to pay a gift back to him, so you don't owe him anything. Jamie says, I know that rationally, but at the same time he drives me practically nuts, constantly bringing
She's
up
focused
how
on-
much he's done for me.
What an idiot.
He actually claims to have saved my life more than once.
And I have,
Where the
and I
hell
did.
he came
I
up
know
with
that's
that,
true.
But it's one of his favorite things to say. And he brings this shit up in front of people we know and complete strangers, always
Well,
trying to look
I
like
did.
a freaking
I did.
hero. God, you could hear him say, you should hear the friggin' stories he tells people. He tries so hard to make it seem like he really takes care of me, as if I'm mentally
And I did.
challenged and couldn't
I did.
live without his assistance through every daily activity. Then
She
too,
would've been
sometimes
dead
out of
soon.
nowhere, he will
I
tell me
didn't
that
know
I
all
need to
this.
thank him because he's done so much and sacrificed so much and suffered so much for me. The man is obviously and totally delusional. Oh, you know what's really funny? I showed his Facebook pictures to a girl I work with because she wanted to know who keeps calling, and all she could say was, ew. I just said, yeah. Just saw that you called. I think I forgot to turn the phone back off to do not disturb. I'll talk to you tomorrow because I only got up to pee when I saw the light flashing and that you'd messaged me. Good night. I can't call back. He says I woke him up again, so no one can hear me on the phone. I should go to sleep, but I don't want to piss him off any more than he already is. George is already after George's stunt earlier. Talk to you tomorrow. Angela says,
I
good night.
should go to
Jamie
sleep, but I
says,
don't want to piss
"Good
him
night."
off.
I will call you back as soon as I can.
It's fucked up.
Fuck, and this motherfucker didn't fucking pay me like we agreed again. Cheap fuck. This shit is going to freaking kill me. I need to ditch all the dead weight in my life and start fresh.
Thank
Angela
you.
says, George told me several times tonight that he is going to burn your stuff for not seeing him. I told him not to do it. Jamie says he told
I never
me
said
to
that.
hell. He wants me to
Never
go
said
to
that.
jail. And
Hold on. Can I chime in?
Okay, go ahead.
She says, I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to throw it. That's what we're talking about. That's what you wanted her to do. And then she said, and then Angela says, George is going to burn all your stuff. So that's like okay, look, I believe you. That's a really fucked up thing to say to somebody that's trying to make a change to throw fake news at them.
Let me say this. I never said I was going to burn any of her clothes. I held her clothes. All right? I held her clothes, and they were there. They were in safekeeping. I told her she had a home. She could live with me, and she had a home. Her clothes, she could do whatever she wanted. She went to the house. She got some of her stuff that she needed and went back to that old man's house. I didn't stop her from doing whatever she did. She was going back and forth, so she got a few things, and that was it. So, but these things that were going on with that old man, he was a divisive individual that caused issues. She put a restraining order on me back in October, and it was unbeknownst to me why she did that. She put a restraining order on me because I had left her at Kroger. She was hitting me and doing a lot of stuff, and I don't, if she hit me, it didn't matter because she couldn't hurt me. I didn't mind for, if she let the anger out, but she went ahead and started hitting me. She was out of, she was dosed up.
She wasn't going to stop. Yeah.
She was dosed up, so I left her there. Her apartment with that Hernandez character was around the block. She called the police because she was coerced to do that by that old man. That old man gave her the told her to call the police, so she did. When the time came, I dropped $1,000 down for an attorney, and then she didn't show up. Then she called me back and told me, George, I'm sorry. I didn't show up. I said, look, I spent $1,000. Why did you put me through this? She said, well, George, she said, Gary wasn't going to do things for me. Gary wasn't going to pay my bill, help me out. And I had to do that because he gave me an ultimatum. This is what she said. I said, fuck that old man. Fuck that old man and his fucking money. And then she said, George, well, I didn't go through it. I didn't show up. So that should prove to you that I'm sorry. But it pissed me off. It angered me. Anyway. All right. Let's get off of that. And let's go to the next one. We've heard as much as we want to hear from that. So Will Marklin is reading this, with tongue in cheek, and Will Marklin has got some crap he's saying, trying to be cute with the extra, Anyway, let's go to the next one. All right, and that's the one.
I'm joined by two special
okay.
guests, Angela and Dr.
Okay,
Amir.
pause it for a second.
Pod-
Okay, yes, we'll start from the very beginning. Now, on this podcast, that quack Dr. Amir, that quack, we'll get into him in a bit. We want to be actor of the false narrative project, and of course, Catty Chatty Angela at it again. Here we go.
Bugs and Elmer Fudd. And Sweet
Hello,
Pea.
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the True Narrative Podcast. I am your host, Will Marklin. Today, I'm joined by two special guests, Angela and Dr. Amir. Welcome to the podcast, two of you.
We have the special part, right?
Thanks for having me.
Today's
Bitch.
subject is going to be looking at the text that Angela was so kind to leak to Jay. And then Dr. Amir is going to talk about those, and Angela will fill in some context about the text messages and anything else that's relevant to what we're looking at. And at the end, Dr. Amir's got some things he wants to talk about with Angela, so we'll go from there. But these texts, giving a little bit of background, extra background. I know I already went into it in the video, but Angela, you released these to Jay after George's constant ridiculous claims that Jamie was trying to fool you into thinking that her and George they hated each other or whatever?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, what was it? George was claiming that that the voicemails were fake and they were just
Pause it.
there to trick me or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't say the voicemails were fake. I said what she was telling you was inaccurate. And what you were trying to do was obvious what you were trying to do. What she told you was inaccurate. Now, that was Jamie. I'm not disputing the legitimacy of that. What I am disputing is the legitimacy of how you construed it and what you did, and then what you had in the back of your mind 5 years later.
I think it's a Latin term for what Angela's doing is ad absurdum, where you take the what the truth is and then you twist it to the point of absurdity.
Okay.
Obviously, you weren't saying the voicemails were fake, like some voice impersonator.
No.
Maybe Will Markland, grabbed his balls and shoved them really high and impersonated.
Let me just say something real fast. I'm gonna do this. Everybody's wondering about Roger. Everybody's wondering why am I talking to Roger? Why is Roger doing what he's doing and whatnot? Roger came to me and told me he was sorry. And I told him point blank, I said, that doesn't change what you did. And Roger said, I will help you. I'm sorry for what I did. I will never do that again. I was wrong. Please forgive me. Now, I thought about that. We had something we had to do. We had to go after Dr. Amir. So I looked at the full picture. So since all of this has transpired, Roger has been on the up and up, and Roger has kept his word. So as long as he does that, and as long as he's doing what he's doing, what he needs to do, this man knows what's going on as well because that's his friend. That's fine. So as long as Roger understands that I'll forgive him, but I will never forget what he did. An elephant never forgets. I will never forget what he did. I'm able to move past it and try to work past it as long as he's true and as long as he's able to keep his word. Throwing that in there. What? You got anything to say to that?
No, I'm into that, man. Elephant never forgets.
Okay. All right, let's go back to it.
So my dick remembers everything.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I also read too that Roger thinks that these are fake text memos.
Yeah.
Just
Roger has about, one brain cell, so...
Wow,
really
at
take
least
much
it's
stock in what
connected
he
to
does.
itself.
How many brain cells do you have want to be actor?
You're not even a complete idiot.
How many brain cells do you have that's sitting there, 70-year-old man whacking off his sausage to somebody across the states?
Talking about, he just talks out of his ass a lot, actually all the time. It doesn't matter what Roger says. We know
You're projecting, Will.
everyone that matters knows that it's real and that they're disgusting.
Everyone that
George's
matters.
just
What, like
think that we're
Markland?
the dumbest people on the face
I
of the
bet
earth.
you have a lot of skeletons in your closet.
Excuse.
Yeah.
Hey, bitch, Markland, look at me. I bet you have a lot of skeletons in your closet, and we can expose them for what they are.
Your cell phone from the iPhone that you bought for Jamie, correct?
Right. I bought her going back to when she first appeared. She, what was it?
This is a liar.
George
She
bought
did.
her a cell phone.
That's true.
Oh no, actually, before that, he gave her one of his old cell phones, and he did this to monitor who was calling her.
Shit.
Anyway, so that cell phone got broken, and then he bought her another cell phone.
Dude, she's terrible liar.
And that cell phone got broken. So I had told him, I said, listen, I had like an old iPhone 4.
And I bet she threatens
I said,
when you call her on this. You're
she
getting
didn't
into
have
something
it.
you can't handle.
Upgraded
You're
my phone.
here. Yeah, you're
And,
shit.
all of a sudden, he was just calling and calling. He's like, you got that phone? You got that phone?
Dude.
I said, yeah. So I
Have
sent
fun
it
in
to
jail,
him, and
bitch.
he kind of held it over her head, and then he gave
For
it
real.
to her. And of
You
course,
what?
Have fun
that
in the
cell phone
institutions,
got
bitch.
broken.
This lady's
So
crazy.
he didn't have any money to buy her a cell phone. I said, listen,
Have fun.
you know, I'll give her a
Reputation
cell phone.
war,
I
you
got
know,
her,
like, okay.
the same
Always.
iPhone I had at the time.
She keeps it going.
It's like an iPhone.
She's feeding them, and she keeps them going
I just
on
buy
to
them
attack me.
just on eBay. I don't ever buy them brand new. And I gave her that, and I made sure to
It's
put
legit,
like
the OJ syndrome.
a really good case on it, so if she dropped it, it wouldn't break. So yeah, she was calling me from that cell phone.
You didn't have to give her a phone. I could get her. You got her a phone. You did it on your own. That was you. You didn't have to do that. I did
For like
that.
2 months.
You did it because you wanted to keep monitors on her yourself.
Minutes for it and everything.
It was like straight talk. It was like a cell phone plan. I just set it up under her name.
Oh, okay.
Straight talk.
No.
That must have been the phone that George was using while he was talking to Chris the hacker, because he talked about that he called it the Angela phone and how it was a piece of crap and how he took it from Jamie or
It
whatever.
was a piece of crap, and even Jamie said it was a piece of crap.
That was actually a separate phone. I had gotten an iPhone 6 Plus.
Sounds like she's lying
I got,
here, too.
One of those
No,
big
she's being
iPhones,
truthful.
and I was
Right here,
using
she's being
that for a
truthful.
while, and I upgraded to another iPhone.
She even got me a phone.
And he kept
I didn't
complaining
want
about
it, but she gave it to me
his
anyway,
phone
so I
was
took it.
messing
Yeah.
up and dialing numbers by
That's
itself
okay.
and this or that, and I knew he used
You dumb
he had
mule.
my phone for his work. So against my better judgment, because I was really trying not to help him out, because all he does is take.
Against my better judgment, you donkey.
I thought, okay, I'll give him my old iPhone, no big deal.
It's a donkey
he gets it,
move.
all he can do is complain about it.
It was a piece of crap, and Jamie said it was a piece of crap.
This phone is garbage.
Yeehaw.
Blah blah blah. But he keeps using the phone though.
No, I end up ditching it and I got a new
And
phone.
He was using it after I stopped talking to him. He was using it.
No,
playing it.
no. I had bought an iPhone 7,
Yeah, that's
biatch.
the way he is.
He
I still
I mean,
got the
if
7.
he continues to complain and not give you thanks or gratitude.
Now, this is the
or
doctor,
nice
fake
things,
quack
keep
Amir.
doing nice things to try and earn his love.
Who gaslights half his patients.
Yeah. Well, he's not even a doctor.
He would call my phone up and he would be like, he'd be hungry. He'd be like, listen, I'm going to let you buy me Pizza Hut. It's like, you're going to let me buy you
Pause that damn thing. Pause that.
Damn
fuck-
straight.
Pause,
you
pause
gotta
that.
deal with the strings you attach, bitch.
Pause it. Listen to me. In 2009, you came down. You were enamored by me. You said, you're a funny guy. I would love to meet you. You bought my box DVD set. And you said, can we meet? I said, come on down. And then you and I were talking. She said, you're a beautiful man. You're sexy and all that. I said, well, yeah, I kind of already know that. Thank you. But she came, and, I was having some fun. I was out of work. I did not have any money at the time. I had, she offered to help me. She had a doll collection of these antique dolls. I didn't ask for it. She went ahead and we sold on eBay $2,500 worth of dolls. I said, listen, these are your dolls. She said, no, it's for you. I said, well, thank you. She did a very kind gesture. We'll call it what it was. She helped me with my dog. She helped me with some money with my dog Fontaine when I was in a situation kind of like when you were, a few weeks ago, and I kind of helped you too, But,
Yeah.
So everybody does that. So she's trying to make something more than what it is. Did she, she took me to Pizza Hut. She's telling these trolls that she took me to Pizza or gave me some money. Yeah, okay, but when you came down, I spent money too. I spent a lot of money on you on booze and alcohol too when you were in town. So let's get the story straight. And you did ride Space Mountain. As much as you want to deny it, you, Angela May Sanders, rode Space Mountain. As much as you want to deny it. Best ride going today.
Yeah.
You might not you might not be first, but you'll be next. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just got that.
buying him food is fair payment for the glory of George in your life. I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Right, him food is very pain. My name is
Yeah.
Dr. Mir.
but yeah,
You've
they-
got a receding hairline, and I'm a wannabe doctor. I pretend to be a doctor, and I say things to antagonize George. Because I like to antagonize George, because I'm a secret troll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like up and down textbook gaslighting, which... that
Dude, what do you know
The
about
guy
gaslighting?
believes his books more than reality. It's crazy.
About gaslight? What do you know about gaslighting? You have just a clueless... You're much psychiatrist or psychologist as my pecker is. My penis has probably got a PhD, 2 PhDs compared to your simple, whatever you think you know what you're talking about. Listen, you got a receding hairline. You need to get a new do, and you need to get fed. You need to let your gorilla mother feed you better. Maybe some nourishment down your mouth, some baby apple sass.
I have to pay this bill, and
No, for real.
you know, I'd loan him $75, and I'd say, you know, I knew he was like bad. He was bad off, so I don't worry about paying. It just become like an worse and worse over time. Like he was calling me up, expecting me to pay his electricity bill, this or that. So,
You
know,
are insane.
After getting all those texts from Jamie,
Insane.
you're saying expect.
You know,
This is Angela
the
saying that what I would, you know.
Right.
Over time.
I expect you to pay my electricity bill because you gave me
Never
pizza.
asked her for electricity bill. She's so full of shit. It ain't even funny.
Yeah, I listened to those again recently. It had been a while, and it never fails to shock me the hubris George has in those voicemails. That he goes on a string of tirades and insults, and then after that, there's a voicemail where he's asking you for money. I mean,
Let me tell you something.
to even think you can do that, it doesn't cease to amaze me.
She, once again, had a doll collection. She did it on her own, and she gave me money. There was only one time that I asked for her help, and that was with my dog. One time when I asked for money from her pertaining to my dog Fontaine. Everything else she did on her own accord. So you want to twist things up, go right ahead. This is why once I get your information, I'm going to go ahead and sue the living fuck out of you for defamation. Say it with me. Defamation. Go ahead.
Yeah. But
Right.
I mean, again, if you give him money, he gambles it away. I've seen him like I was trying to help him out.
God.
You know, I gave him like a doll collection that I'd had previously,
Yeah. Okay.
and he sold it on eBay.
That was true.
And then his friend told me he's using that money to gamble.
Okay. Well, who told you that?
You told us that he has a gambling addiction. I'm pretty sure, and he's talked about buying lottery tickets when he's homeless.
He has a
All
story
homeless
where
people buy lottery tickets.
You all have seemed to think that I'm homeless. Where's the proof? Okay? You think I'm homeless? You think I'm living on the street? Where's the proof? You show me the proof. You show me a picture. You show me some kind of proof. And then we'll talk. All this other rubbish is just what it is. Rubbish.
somebody had asked me, he said that he went to Las Vegas with $20,000 or $30,000. I think it was about $20,000, if I'm remembering correctly. He had gotten a
Where do you get your information from?
from his aunt when she passed away.
No. Yeah.
That he took.
Okay, my Aunt Eva I did get $10,000 from my Aunt Eva. What's your point? When Aunt Eva died in '99, I got $10,000 from her. What is your fucking point? No, I did go to Vegas. Did I piss the money away? No, I actually won $12,000 on an 18 baseball parlay. Yes, I did gamble, and I won a lot of money back in '99. 12,000 freaking dollars. So why don't you go fuck yourself?
And he went to Las Vegas and just blew. He's got a story where he wins like a 12-game parlay or something like that, betting on baseball. I doubt that's real.
I don't care what
think
you
that's made up
listen to that shit.
story.
She doubts
He said
it.
that he wanted.
I doubt that's real.
Run
How do you know if it's not real? Can you prove it's not real?
I'm almost sure he did.
Did you ask?
Just because the way he gambles, and I've seen him lose so much money. I know it's a story.
You've seen me lose so much money?
Ask his friend Matt.
You've seen me lose so much money. Okay.
Get picks from him.
Right.
To act whenever he won.
So
Yeah, I would have guessed that George is intelligent enough to do any type of
I
parlay.
don't want to break my computer, man.
Yeah, but
I kind of want to take a baseball bat.
Makes me angry.
Baseball bat to it, but anyway.
$20,000 or $30,000 that he was talking about going to Las Vegas with. It was from his aunt.
Here's his aunt.
Oh, he didn't pull that one out of your ass?
Made up.
Like all his other dolls? Oh, wait.
Yeah,
You
he
got
talked about
those
having
dolls
big
from
ones in
your
the book or something
aunt?
like that.
No.
I think I remember something
Jesus.
very similar. I don't remember. I don't think it was about.
okay.
He didn't mention his aunt's inheritance in the book, but he definitely talked about spending large
What-
amounts.
what are
of
you guys,
money
the
and focus on
IRS?
the gambling.
Yeah, no, they must be the IRS.
According to him.
They're so
The
jealous.
IRS, yeah.
I think that he would go to what's that one casino that they tore down. There's some old casino.
And how do you know that, Miss Angela? How would you know where I'm with Miss Angela?
All the time. I'm forgetting what the name of it is. He'd stay there for months at a time.
Yeah.
We're talking like 2 or 3 months at a time.
Oh my God.
Just blowing
Okay.
money.
Yeah.
And George strikes me as the type of person who would buy $101 scratch-off tickets, win $50 on one of them, and thinks he, won big and came out ahead.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
That's a negative 50% chance.
When he got really low in money, I think this was.
Hey,
about the
Dr.
time that
Amir,
his tax,
ride a camel,
business
okay?
went into,
Fuck a camel. That's what you do in India,
he
don't you?
started to take a dive. He had lost his this van was
He's a
too
candle
old
half
to
empty
get
man.
licensed through the
Because
state.
he has no idea what the hell half the time what he talks about is
Cab driver.
whatever.
He started buying lottery tickets, thinking that he was
His
going
wick
to win.
his wick is
I believe after
inward.
Jamie died, he started thinking.
Sand person comes to mind.
He thinks that
Stormtrooper.
Jamie's ghost is giving him pigs.
Yeah,
And
he
that-
mentioned that in a call.
Yeah.
Yeah. On Jamie's birthday, I played her birthday and won $1,000. So fuck you.
Yeah, or he'll see there's that old
$1,000 on her birthday,
Southern,
7/10, 6 days before mine.
something. I didn't know about it because I'm not from the South, but
They're jealous.
whenever somebody sees a red bird, it's supposed to be like a loved one from.
It's called a cardinal.
A cardinal. Yes, that is a true fact. It is a true fact that if you see red birds in a certain time, it's a spirit, it's a ghost. It's not just a southern thing. It's a well-known, documented thing. If you see a red bird, a cardinal, that is a spirit coming to visit you. And I've seen several cardinals around her birth date and around her death date. So again, fuck you. Fuck you for not knowing anything but just talking a bunch of rubbish.
That's departed, coming back to visit you.
I guess she's breaking
So
up
whenever
with
he
you.
saw a red bird, he thought that was
Huh?
Jamie. Or, yeah, it was Jamie's ghost.
She's breaking up with me? No, I think.
He also said that he played like Jamie's Jamie's numbers on it, on her death or something like that, and he won like a bunch of money, and that was Jamie's smiling down on it.
Yeah, I'm sure. If he won a bunch of money, where's that money? You know, I mean, he's pretty.
It was $1,000. That's all it was. But you see, you wouldn't understand or know because you think that you just, it's because of a slow brain development. But Dr. Muir would know about that because Dr. Muir has a slow brain development.
He's not developed. Hey, wait, can I shave my feet for the horny masturbators?
Go ahead.
I am trying to get famous. I want to get my SAG card.
Okay.
Y'all made me a rapper. This is the kind of shit I do. I get the cheddar, baby. Cheddar and the mozzarella. Right out.
Okay. All right.
Y'all got a cream now.
Bro. I mean, he's having to, borrow money off of Roger now.
Yeah, Roger was, him and George and Roger seem to be a thing again. It's kind of weird. Dr. Muir, you want to hop into these text messages that we released the other day?
Yeah, thank you, Will.
No, thank
So,
you.
if you wouldn't
Thank
mind,
you.
could you
Fuck you.
summarize,
Fuck
at the
you.
beginning of these texts, what is Jamie and George's relationship status, so to say?
At the beginning,
I think we've done
he
enough,
kept
man.
dropping
This
No, I
is
got
piss me
like,
off.
I'm going through
I think he had said something like he tried to hide Jamie from me. No, he didn't. He was dropping. He's like, "Oh, I met somebody. She works at IHOP." He kept giving me like hints here and there, and it just weird. George tries to create jealousy when it's not there. So he did this with me.
Oh, it's not there.
I think he's doing it with Roger and Kevin, trying to create jealousy because I think I heard Roger say something about him being jealous of Kevin. That's what he likes to do. So he kept dropping small hints of.
Where do you get your distorted information? Do you live here in Virginia? Do you know Roger? Have you talked to Kevin recently?
They love him.
Where do you get your information from? I would love to know. This is a precursor to what you kind of how you think and how you like to cook things up or make up stories. Already you're making up a story that you have no idea. And have you spoken to Roger? Have you ever met Roger? Have you spoken to Kevin here recently? What kind of doctored up where are you going with this? I mean, you're going nowhere.
Is it Tucker Max or Sergeant Bilko?
I don't know what the hell it is, but anyway, I mean, that's,
Saying that this person worked at IHOP and that she had
All these accusations
two or
are
three
involved, like,
boyfriends.
He goes to gamble and eats at IHOP.
And this very sense, he wouldn't tell me what her name was, but
you're damn right I didn't want to tell you what her name was because it's none of your goddamn business.
Right. What's her name?
which was fine.
Give me your number, dude.
But it was just it was real childish what he was doing.
Why would you care? Please, why would you care?
So at the beginning, I believe that she had a boyfriend. His name was Orlando, and then she kind of was. I don't know so much as Gary. I mean, she was. I don't know if that was like. It was just kind of more of a friendship between them.
Here's the funny thing about it. Gary and Orlando didn't know about each other, but I knew about both of them.
I think Gary wanted something a little bit more with Jamie.
That's cool.
And she was going over to take care of him. There was another person that she was friends with, and then there was George. And I'm pretty sure. I think she liked to hang out with George. He was giving her rides, and
She loved to hang out with me because she enjoyed herself. She actually had feelings for me. What a novelty idea.
buying her alcohol and stuff. But I think for her, it was more or less just a friendship. For him, it
Here is what it was. Jamie was in a situation where she was previously in an abusive relationship. She told me that basically that her and her previous friend, Zeb, the person that she actually accidentally shot in the relationship and back in, where she got charged for shooting somebody. She was with her friend Zeb, or her boyfriend Zeb, and she was trying to get the gun out of his hand, and it accidentally went off. It was an abusive relationship, it was very toxic. Even her brother had mentioned that to me, which we're going to get into a second. Well, now we'll get into that right now, because later on you're going to hear Markland lie his ass off, saying that basically her brother had spoken to them and how the family had something against me. Brian never spoke to any of you, because Brian actually had told me he had no idea of what I was talking about. And then in the email he said, George, he said, we are at peace, and I hope that you can become at peace with my sister's death. That's exactly what her brother told me. So again, your narrative ain't working right. A bunch of lies and a bunch of an agenda that you had just to stir me up even more. Distorted version, if you will, just to get me riled up. Some kind of prank when you never actually spoke to them. And that mongoose Mitchell never spoke to her family neither. That's a joke.
Of a romantic relationship. So,
at first it was a friendship, and then it became romantic. Fuck you.
Anyway, so, let me...
I'm sorry.
I kept hearing things about her that weren't very flattering, right? Like the whole, she has 3 or 4 boyfriends. She has MRSA. She says I can't catch it.
Now that I got my feet scraped, I think I'll be all right.
Just things that I'm thinking.
You're being entertained?
Kind of person,
Are you being entertained?
I mean, I laughed, I cried, bro.
Yeah.
Wouldn't tell me what her name was. So I figured it out. Just from the hints that he dropped.
How did you figure it out? You never figured out anything. You only figured it out when she was on the other phone wanting to know who I was talking to. And then she'd grab the phone out of my hand, and then that's how you knew.
He gave me enough hints that I figured out who she was. But yeah, he more or less, she wanted to hang out with George. He was giving her rides. He was buying her alcohol. He was letting her use his old phone. Just kind of doing things for her. And George wanted a romantic relationship with her. But there were these other guys in the picture. The guy that she was living with, Orlando. Gary, who he hated. Gary had money, and Gary wasn't a pauper, so he could buy her gold bracelets and take her out to nice restaurants and this or that. So yeah, George hated Gary. He hated Orlando. But that's what it was. And then they had that big fight. They had a big fight. He was trying to hold her hand. She didn't want to have. She didn't want to have a sexual relationship with him.
She at first was going through a lot of, everything was going fast. Our relationship was moving too fast for her. She said she needed to slow it down a little bit. She needed to get control over knowing where it was going. It was there. The feelings were mutual. But she had to slowly get into it because she was previously raped. Jamie was raped on the streets a few times. And that's why that she had issues with about being raped. Okay, she was raped by 2 other people in her life. So she had issues of being in a committed relationship, which I told her I'd give her all the time that she needed. But it kind of worked itself out with her being with me. Okay? It worked itself out with her by her spending time with me because then we became intimate. We'll get into that's going to be coming up here in a bit.
From what I gather, she didn't want to sit there and hold his hand and be his girlfriend. So
We held hands.
He was taking her
We held hands a lot of
here, there,
times.
Everywhere this one day, and then he was like, I can't take you any more places. She got in a fight with him, and she stormed off, and then she put that restraining order on him.
That was forced.
Okay, so Jamie, I mean, George has definitely shown a pattern of misinterpreting Jamie's intentions with him. So Jamie, I mean, is it fair to say she was with George for the advantage of having rides and at a certain time?
Whatever you want to, whatever you're trying to say, again, sir, you're getting misinformation from a woman that it was scornful. So you can sit there and ask information from these trolls and get these distorted, false narratives from these trolls, and you're also getting false narratives from a scornful bitch that had nothing more than venom and very vindictive toward me because of her jealousy toward this woman because of my association with her.
Time having access to drugs?
I think so. I do. I think there was a point where she was trying to get off drugs. I do think that she was still having him do stuff for her. She didn't have a whole bunch of money. She was working at IHOP and living in an apartment with several other people.
Which I've already pointed out to what happened with that.
So yeah, I do, and I had a talk with her. I said, listen, if you're using these guys for whatever, you're going to run into people like George who are going to take it too far, and think that they're not going to understand that.
Funny how you go ahead and say that. When you were very adamant with her, you thought that she was using me. This is what you had said to me. You thought that Jamie was using me, so you were very down her throat, but yet you don't want to bring that up or mention that. There's no reason to even talk about that but in your mind, well, that's what you were. But yet it's funny how you twist it though and say that basically that I would be doing this, and this when you had nothing but hate toward her from the very beginning and said things that she was going to twist things up or she was using me. You always said, well, we would say that she was using me. Okay? It try to make that plain. And it's funny how now, by talking to these trolls, how you go ahead and say that I would do things and try to get her wound up. It's funny how things change. It's funny how you like to, how you change things up. Okay? See, but unlike you, I don't record conversations of people. I don't have a sick motive in my head a sick vindictive motive to record conversations and hold on to them for 5 years. I guess maybe if I did, then I would have these recordings to show. But then again, I'm not on Stan, and then again, I'm not here to prove anything indifferent or vice versa. But you're going around here just grabbing your mouth. It's funny how things change, though. It's funny how the narrative gets changed.
You're just friends. Yeah.
So at the beginning of these texts that we're looking at here, it's accurate that Jamie was sober and trying to maintain that?
I believe that when he first met her, she was trying to come off drugs. And I think just hanging around with him so long, he's so toxic that it just sort of leaks onto you.
I'm so toxic, huh? Well, then how come the fact when she left me, then things went downhill for her? When she left me in August of 16 and lived going back and forth to the Mexican guy and the old man, how things were going not so good for her. it didn't matter who she was with because she was going to do what she's going to do anyway. She was determined to do what she wanted to do. But at least with me, if she was living with me, she would have been I would have been able to stray her in the right direction. She was stubborn. She was mule-headed. She wanted to do what she wanted to do. And then when the money got low, I had said, look, when the money became, I said, look, not going to be able to do as much because money's not coming in right now. I'm out of the taxi business. I will still help you. But I said, if I give you money right now, you're going to, some of it's going to have to be paid back. I only asked her to pay me back some of the money when I was out of work. Never had asked for a red cent, though, before then or after then, beyond that. Okay, so whatever the case might be, she's around here saying this shit that I said something that never said. And it's funny how Angela keeps changing things around.
It's kind of hard to describe or explain to somebody who hasn't been around a narcissist for a long time.
Oh, I'm
They have a
narcissistic
negative
now.
effect on pretty much everybody they come into contact with.
Oh, and where's the proof that I'm narcissistic? I'd love to know that.
Started using again.
Let me tell you something. When I had money, I would give money. I would help people. When I had money, I would help people. It was a party 24/7. I helped Jamie. I spent $800 on medical needs that she had. I paid for her Suboxone to help her temper off her desire and her cravings. Okay. It is very hard, and this is going out to that Xanax user Tyler. That Xanax user Tyler that likes to get abused by the babysitter. It's hard on the person that is the one that is trying to get off of the stuff. And the point that I was making also too, that it's also very hard for the people that love that person. Me being one of those people. Me being one of those people that actually loved her. It was hard for me to see her in that condition, where finally I had to stop giving her money. Part of the reason why she cut it off with me, and part of the reason why she went back to Gary, is because I had to cut off the money supply, not only because I was going through financial strife, because I had lost my job or lost my business. I knew that I had to, because I knew after seeing that she had a bag of needles, and I found a bag of needles, I had to stop. The minute that I did that, she went ahead and she took off of me. She still knew, though, that I loved her, and she knew that I loved her, and she loved me. But in her condition, she was going to do what she was going to do. I couldn't give her the way that I was giving her the stuff, was only through trying to give her money to help her and give her money for the Suboxone. I only went by what she told me. She went ahead and did things on her own. In my mind, I was willing to drive her to Kentucky to the rehab center. I was willing to make that trip to the rehab center. I was willing to do all of that. But I had to cut off the money supply. And that's why she left and went back to the old man.
He had taken her to McDonald's and she passed out in the bathroom. And so I'm pretty sure she started using again.
This is one of the times when I had to get her out and save her. She was in there, she was trembling, her body was shaking. I don't like to talk about this because it gives me bad memories. I don't like to talk about this, but she was in there shaking. I got her out of that place, and I saved her from that moment.
Summer when she met him and was hanging around him. But come the fall, she pretty much had, after that fight, she had pretty much had enough of him. So she left. I think she was still doing drugs at the time. She had a court date. Birch knew about the court date and was sitting in court when she had to go to her court date. I think he denied that, but yeah, he did. He was sitting in court when she had a court date. I think she was driving without a license or something like this.
Lady, you are insane. Where do you get this information from? I checked her records. I saw that she had a court date. I did not go to that court date, but I knew when the court date was because I kept track of what was going on with her. I kept tabs on her. Yes, I most certainly did, because I gave a damn about what happened to her. All right. Shit. Still going on.
And somebody was driving his car without a license. So he showed up at that court date, and then
You got some
she
sugar?
wasn't talking to him.
Yeah.
Sure.
She was trying to. I think she was still working at IHOP, and he was sending in his friends to spy on her. Which I thought was.
Oh my God.
I told him, I said,
I've heard. Jesus
honestly, this
Christ,
woman
man. Are you
comes
fucking
with
kidding me?
you. So it's not really cool to have your friends go in to IHOP and spy on her.
If they went in there, they went in there to eat.
So she ended up losing that job, and she became homeless.
Wow.
And then I think she was living in a hotel. I don't know who was paying for the hotel. But she contacted George. She needed a place to stay. So she contacted George pretty much to stay with him. And she was using it. He was supplying her with alcohol again. And
I was supplying her with alcohol. Here we go
they lived
again.
there for maybe
This stuff about the Irish rose, or what you call it, the poor man's drink. What they call it? What's that? Beaujolais?
Irish Rose.
Yeah, they call it Beaujolais or some shit like that, or
On the bottle.
I don't know. So the wild Irish rose. Yeah, she drank it. She wanted it, and she drank it. Did I give her money sometimes for it? Yeah, she demanded me to give her money. I had to cut it off, though. I would give her this stuff, and like I just said prior, I had to cut it off. Anyway, this is the same old rubbish that he keeps running the mouth about.
a month, 2 months at the max. I don't even think it was 2 months.
It was 6 months, bitch. She was living with me for 6 months, you fucking bitch.
And he was touching her while she was sleeping.
I was touching her, I was rubbing her, and I was fucking her. Because you know why I was fucking her? Because we were in a committed relationship. She was in my bed. She shared a bed with me. So I fucked her. We lived together. She enjoyed it. She enjoyed my time. She enjoyed being with me. As much as you hate to deny, as much as you hate to admit it. So go nibble on that for a little bit.
I said, listen, you need to really get out of there. You can't go to his house and pass out, because he's going to get more and more aggressive with you sexually.
Again, Viach, we were in a relationship. She lived with me. She shared a bed with me. Nibble on that, Viach.
So she ended up sleeping in a boiler room with some abandoned building with some other people.
Oh my
Boys and
God.
girls, and she was
Listen
calling
to
me.
this. In a boiler room.
You're
Are
probably
you?
locked out if she's in the boiler.
She was
She's
calling
probably
me,
locked out.
And I could tell that she was on drugs.
There
Because
you
she
go.
had this real.
She was on drugs off and on. Oh God, man, I hate to have to. This bitch is so vindictive, Angela, so vindictive. She keeps spinning this false narrative. Again, you were told what you were told by her and myself. She was off and on the stuff. It's, as I had said before, it's hard on the person that is the addict, and it's also hard on the person that is with the addict that cares for that addict. It's a little bit harder, actually, on the person that actually loves that addict because they can't do anything and it's in a helpless situation. So it's hard, and it was hard for me because I tried my best to help her. And I was going to. And if she was with me, not in that old folks' house, she would have lived a little longer than what she did. Because I would have gone out of my way to make sure that she was provided for and didn't have to, and try to help her with her addiction. But then again, she was adamant. You can't control me. I can do what I want. So she did what she wanted. She was a person that had her own. She succumbed to her own devices, and now they're going to. Well, it's going to come to a point where they're going to put the finger. But we'll get to that in a second.
She sounded kind of punch drunk. She'd be normal, and then all of a sudden, she would just be. I can't describe it. Just out of her mind,
Well, most people that use heroin addicts are.
That has shown George and his narcissism have
You.
tried
He's
to.
the narcissist.
I like to punch you in the fucking mouth, you fucking quack. I want to see your damn degree. And what you on your next freaking podcast, you go ahead and show your degree. You are a quack. Okay? You are a half-breed quack. I'm sorry. I don't want to sound racial, but you're a half-breed quack. You want to sit here and talk about me, and you want to keep saying that I'm narcissistic? How the hell would you know that I'm narcissistic? You still haven't answered the question about obsession. And you still haven't answered the fact of you still argue the point that if you hate somebody, you don't talk about them. You move on. But you want to argue that point? I think there's a mental issue in your fucking brain there, Mr. Amir. And I don't call you a doctor because my penis is more of a doctor than you are. My penis is a gynecologist. You are a quack.
Hammer down Jamie's self-esteem and make her believe that she needed to be on drugs because that was really the only scenario when Jamie would be with George was when she looked.
Out of anger, I said one time, crucify me on the cross, why don't you? I said out of anger to her one time, I like you better drunk than the way you are. We got into a dispute, a strong argument because of that old fucker. And I said to her out of anger, I like you better drunk. So crucify me on the damn cross, why don't you? If that's the one thing that I said and did, so be it. That old man was a thorn and caused a lot of issues between her and I. So did that Mexican. That Mexican caused a lot of problems too. It's the true fact. That's the true narrative.
Was using and
God damn
didn't
it.
have a great self-image. But at the beginning of these texts, Jamie mentions in the second screenshot, Jamie mentions that she's finally sober and medicated again, and she's not trying to be mean and ignore George, just trying to keep a peaceful air around me, which is really interesting. One of the things I'm proposing through these text messages, it kind of seems like she goes through the 5 stages of grief. And this first one, just out of curiosity, I mean, the rest of these texts, she really is angry at George. But in this first instance, she actually seems to empathize with how George is going to take her ignoring him, and she seems to want to be able to amicably end things with him. Was that a part of her?
Again, you moronic moron. She was not Alice to the friggin' moon. You moronic, stupid motherfucker. She was not amicably trying to end things with me. She was trying to find herself. She was trying to get herself together. Had nothing to do with me. But when it had to do with me, it was to say that I tried to influence her. Sometimes I could do it. Sometimes she was hearing none of it. Because she was mule-headed and stubborn. Yes, she was. But she did not want to be told or controlled, and I did not control her. So we had strong, excuse me, I just belched. We had strong, heated arguments. All right, we're gonna have to fast track this. Go ahead. All right.
Thought process was, did you think she was trying to get in a healthy place with George
Damn.
as a friend?
Well, she, after sleeping in the boiler room. 'Cause
Where do
Gary
you
wasn't having
get
anything
this
with her.
garbage from? The boiler room? Are you
He was
fucking
afraid of
insane,
George.
woman?
George had
Are you
come to his
insane?
house a couple times, screaming at him
Boiler
because
room.
George was
The
out of
boiler
line
room?
thinking
What
that
boiler
they were
room?
having sex.
Are you
He
nuts?
saw them through the window. There was a shade. There was a shade, and he could see the silhouettes of their shadow.
Yeah, I thought the old man was getting a blowjob. Yes, I did. I'm not gonna lie about it. I thought the old man was getting a blowjob, and it pissed me
he was
off.
Scared of him, and he wouldn't have anything to do with Jamie. And then when she was in the boiler room,
The boiler room.
he said, "You
Yeah,
can
see?
stay with me."
She was smoking.
So she was
cigarettes
staying
in the
with
boiler
Gary,
room.
and Gary was taking her to his synagogue. And I do think that she was trying to clean up, because she stopped drinking. I don't believe Gary was supplying her with, wild Irish rose every day.
Gary was supplying her with lots of money where she could buy lots of drugs. Gary, if you want to get technical about it, was probably the cause of her death by giving her boku money to go ahead and get a speedball of heroin and fentanyl and freaking cocaine all at once. So if you want to get technical about it, that old fucker was probably the reason why she died. And if I would have known about it, I would have busted the fucking door down and get a can of Narcan and revive her. It pisses me off to even talk about this shit.
So she was trying to clean up.
You see what I gotta go
there
through?
was periods where she was trying to,
Yeah, this sucks.
get on the straight and narrow and get off drugs and, stop drinking and things. She had problems. So
You
there was-
didn't know what you know what she talked about.
She had
All you knew was what you were told.
bipolar disorder.
You little biatch.
Type 1. And so she wasn't getting any type of mental health help. She was just trying to do it herself. So I thought that's so hard.
Yeah, to go to
That's
bed.
almost impossible.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
this is,
not something
make this
you can
fast or
deal
whatever,
with
I have to get this done.
Yeah, just don't run out of
especially if you
space,
don't have
man.
a support system,
Huh.
since it seems like Jamie didn't.
Don't run out of space.
I mean, she wasn't connected with her family. Didn't
Don't
have
what?
really any close
Run out of space.
friends. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I got enough.
From what I gather, she sort of, I think she talked to her mother, but her family had probably gotten tired of her substance use. There had been an episode where
You want bread pudding
before
after
she
this?
met George,
I'm
she
good.
had a fiance or
Get some more. You got some more
boyfriend,
pizza. You want some more?
No, I'm good.
and he, I believe, was also using drugs. I think they might have had a fight.
Yeah.
And the boyfriend went to shoot himself. She said she tried to grab the gun and it went off, and he ended up killing himself. And she, because I guess she had gunpowder on her.
Yeah, we already talked about this. She had told me that the situation that she was trying to get the gun out of his hand. Let me fast track this.
From the gun, they thought that she did it, and she ended. Yeah.
I can certainly understand that.
I can certainly understand that.
And for drug use. So,
What can't you understand, Dr. Revere? I mean,
without a support system in
you
dealing with
understand
the mental
everything.
issue, Jamie was.
You need to go to bed?
Pretty
Okay,
shitty,
okay.
right?
I will.
But
I'll,
it's still
I'll lock
really
up.
impressive that she was attempting to get sober.
Folks, that's Watt. He needs to go to bed. All right, Watt.
Semi-successful.
All right.
I would imagine she was on a high when she, like an emotional high, when she had the thought that she could, talk with George and keep a peaceful air, as she says. Though I also do think that's a little bit of denial in trying to remove a major major negative aspect from her life and be able to move on, but denying what she inherently knew that George is not that type of person. In the
How
second
would
half
you
of
know
that long
what type of
text,
person that I am? You don't
references
know
George
me.
yelling
So
and
how would
screaming
you
and
know
following,
anything
so I don't
about
think
me?
she truly
God, this is
believes
gonna go.
she'd ever be able
This is gonna go to 3 hours. I gotta fast track this.
chemically and things with George.
No, I think she told me a couple times that she would actually just have to disappear to get rid of him. That's what she eventually did. She even ghosted me, which, I wasn't too happy about. I mean, I was kind of
Why would you even care whether she... Hold on a second.
But
Why would you... Did you have a lesbian affair with her? Why would you even care if she ghosted you? See, this is what you say, that you were more friends with her than she was with me. You never met the woman. You never saw the woman. The woman lived with me. The woman lived in my house. So I knew her. You didn't know anything about her. You were just a voice on the phone, is all you were. I lived with her. I knew her pros and her cons, her good things that she did and the bad things she did. I tried to do what I can. I did my best of what I could. The book describes everything. Chapter 22 to chapter 30. Chapter 22 to chapter 30 of that book describes everything that I did to try to help her. And I went over and beyond to help her. Oh, God. I can't do this because I'm gonna start getting emotional now. Listen, I don't think that I should even be doing this. I don't think I should even have to explain this, because these goddamn motherfuckers that keep at it. And this cunt keeps poking me. This cunt keeps poking me with this shit. And she has the audacity to say that I should say I'm sorry. No, woman, you should bend down on your hands and knees and apologize. You should bend down on your hands and knees, and I still wouldn't forgive you. You should apologize 20 times over and fucking, do whatever. Denounce these bitches and say this is over exaggerated, but you don't have it within you. That's what you need to do. And if your friends that you mentioned that say that I don't have it within me to do it, or I should do it, no. Maybe your friends in Tennessee should know the whole story before making talk about it. Hearing the whole story would be the best solution, and then they would know that you were wrong. You were wrong to go ahead and talk to this foreigner and talk to these trolls about me, making up stories about me because you were disgruntled and you were being very scornful because you tried to do everything you can to twist everything up and scornful about me, loving this woman and caring for this woman because you didn't want that for me. Yet I was supposed to sit here and wait for you to come back to Richmond. Though, again, I waited for you to come back to Richmond, but I didn't think of you that way. That's the truth. I didn't think of you in that kind of way. I'm going to sit here and listen to this rubbish. I don't owe anybody an explanation, but I'm doing this to set it straight. And God damn it, this is the last time. I swear on my father's grave, this is the last time that I'm discussing this. Let me go back to this garbage.
yeah, I get it now. I do. You can't stay friends with him. You just can't. He'll suck you back into that weirdo narcissist world of his.
Again, what makes me narcissistic? Because I'm trying to take care, I'm trying to look after myself. I'm trying to worry about what's going on with me and look after myself. Does that make me narcissistic? Does it make me narcissistic to worry and my feelings being hurt, my feelings being crushed and hurt? Does that make me narcissistic? Does it make me narcissistic to give a damn and try to help the woman understand that what she's going down a wrongful path. Does it make me a narcissistic to actually give a damn about what happens to a person who's drugged up, who does drugs? Does it make me narcissistic to do that? Does it make me narcissistic to give a damn about what happens and want to get her clean? No, it doesn't. Why am I doing this? I don't owe anybody an explanation. But this bitch just keeps up. Keeps it up.
Yeah, there's that. Dr. Muir, what did you think about that email that Jamie copy and pasted Angela? It's in the 7th screenshot where he talks about my feelings don't fucking matter. Matters will take a loaded gun and might as well have taken a loaded gun and shot me in the face, devalued once again. You led me to believe we had a chance. Goddamn you, rotten hell. What was your take from that?
Yeah, there is a lot to unpack in that, and just for the record, so everyone's on the same page, that is absolutely not how you talk to somebody you care about.
I did it and said what was on my mind. I spoke my mind. I said it. It was out of anger. Newsflash, anger. Anger is an emotion that is there when you are pushed to a limit. Anger is there when you care about somebody and they fight you. That's anger. Anger is when you give a damn and you're trying to do something and people are trying to poke you. That's anger. Anger is when you love someone and you're trying to help them and they're pushing away from you. That's anger. It's not that she didn't want my help. She didn't know how to ask for help.
So, a few texts before that, I mean, Jamie, in her initial thoughts about George, she was going to try and end peacefully with him, and then her next text is spitting a lot of hot fire at George, so obviously that...
She didn't try to end. She came back to me because she knew that she needed me. She came back to me because she knew that I was a positive influencer in her life and she needed me in her world. The only reason why she left is because, number one, because I had to stop the money supply. And number two, she was fixed. And again, the money supply was one reason. The second thing was the fact that she was fixed and she needed the stuff. And God only knows what went on in that house with that old man. God only knows, because the police, if you take a record, and I'm not going to say this because it's nobody's business, but there were police that were called. Well, no, I'm not going to say that because it's not my room to say that, and I'm not going to give it. It's somebody's business.
Didn't go well, as I'm sure she predicted, and that's the second stage.
I knew this is what was going to happen if I stopped talking to him, that he'd go on his smear campaign. I've watched a lot of videos over the years about narcissists because I've never been exposed to one before. So to me, it was sort of, it was confusing. I'll admit, it was really confusing.
When you talk to people that knew, and you knew, Angela, exactly the hell that I went through with these people. If anybody knew what I went through, Angela, you were the one that knew exactly what I went through. And for you to do the exact thing that I never thought you would ever do, to start talking to them and telling them lies because of a jealousy that you had for her, and the fact that I mentioned Ellen Ferguson's name, and that just sent you right over the edge for whatever reason. I don't know why. Okay? You knew what I went through. You knew the years that I've been trolled and gone through. You knew about it. And for you to do the very thing that I never thought you would ever do, as far as telling them intimate or intricate details about me, distorted details, there's no truth, half stories or distorted stories, okay? And then tell them personal stuff that was not even accurate, just putting your spin, and then finally putting the spin to fit their narrative, there's something wrong with that. Of course I'm going to be angry. Of course I'm going to go off. Of course I'm going to be angry at you. You stupid bitch.
Using, because I've never been exposed to one. But they do go, if you stop having anything to do with the narcissist, they will attack you. They will try to smear you. And that's
I'm not smearing you. I'm calling a spade a spade. I'm not attacking you the way you attacked me, the way you spin the narrative to the false narrative. I'm going ahead and telling you the way it is. I am telling you to shut your mouth, and you still keep talking about me. You still go on and and talk about me. And that is why once I get your address, I'm going to sue you. And it's no two ways about it. I will sue you. You are making things worse for me in more ways than one. And the thing about it is, you won't stop. You won't move on. You have a career. You lost your job. You have too much time on your hands. You're bored. Whatever the case might be, you're bored. And you want to continue this attack for me from afar. And you keep spinning this distorted narrative and making things even more worse for me. What fucking gives? What fucking gives? You fucking bitch. Of course I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be extremely angry.
That's what he did. That's exactly what he tried to do.
There's in screenshot number 10, I'm looking at that, and Jamie talks about, in screenshot 9, she talks about how she's been away from George, and it's almost funny, is at the moment I stepped away from his mess, the sky opened up and all these blessings fell on me. She's talking about...
What? I'm not going to, I'm going to play it. Fuck it.
How much she accomplished.
She was struggling. There's no blessing. She was struggling without me.
Harassing her hourly, telling her how bad.
I was not harassing her. I was worried about her. I had to distance myself, but I was still worried about her, and I checked up on her.
His life will remain without him, and how she just thinks the opposite. Now, George continues to say that this was that they were just arguing at this time. That, they were just mad at each other, and that's all it was. And couples have arguments, and what happens. I know when, I tell my wife, when I get mad at her, I definitely tell her that she might as well blow my face off with a shotgun. And
first of all, Jack, you're not married. And I doubt that you even have, I doubt seriously that you even get pussy. You probably haven't had pussy since pussy's had you. I would actually bank on that. Secondly, people say things out of anger. When someone is angry at somebody, even if they love them, sometimes people will say things out of anger, taken out of context. So I'm sorry that you've never had that experience. I'm sorry that you think that everything is perfect in your little rosy world, but I seriously doubt that.
And she's a rotten bitch, and that I love her better when she's on drugs, if she did drugs. But
I've already said.
What I
fuck you. Fuck you.
I don't know about you guys, but
bitch.
Oh yeah, that's a normal part of a healthy relationship, is threatening to kill your significant other.
Yeah.
so I just
Wait. Who threatened to kill who? Where do you get off that I threatened to kill somebody? What the hell is your trip, dude? Are you? I'm getting to wonder if you're playing with a full deck there, Mr. Amir. I doubt it seriously, Mr. Amir, that you are.
really give an insight into what Jamie's going through, especially these ones about her saying how good her life is now that he's not in it, which is complete contrast to what he says. But that's not surprising.
No, not at all. And yeah, this text message where she starts by saying how good her life is, it's been a week since she last texted Angela complaining about George. So you hope that it was like an actual clean week of no contact with George. And you can only imagine how great of a week that must have been. But then halfway through this message, he references his, again, word of the day, gaslighting. He's trying to make Jamie believe that her life is bad without him. He's failing horribly because it's just completely not true. And, Jamie, as she demonstrates throughout all these text messages, she's not falling for his bullshit. But yeah, it's scary to see. She references George sending her.
All right, I can't play. This
500 text messages a day.
Already. This broadcast has gone on 2 hours. Their broadcast is pretty much. Well, I'm at 43 minutes on their broadcast, so you can see the difference. If I was to play the whole thing, it would take another hour to 2 hours. I will not spend that amount of time. I already spent 2 hours. This shit like this takes that long to do, and this is going to take a whole lot longer to do. So I'm going to have to fast track some of this.
With this kind of content in it, George is putting in a lot of effort into trying to make Jamie believe that her life is bad.
You don't have to turn her into the cops. But he's like, no, she's never coming back. I know she's... and eventually, she went no contact, and she was living at Gary's house. I remember him telling me, he said, okay, well, I'll give it a few months. I'll just leave her alone, and then I'm going to contact her before Christmas. And I was surprised that he could actually leave her alone for a couple months, or a few months until Christmas. But then he called her around Christmas, what was this, of 2016, and she told him she didn't want to have nothing to do with him, leave her alone. And this is when he decided that he just got more angrier and angrier. I remember him calling me, and he said, I'm gonna tell the police where she's staying, because she was staying at Gary's. I said, listen, you don't have to do that. She'll eventually get caught on her own. You don't have to turn her into the cops. But he's like, no, she's never coming back. I know she's never coming back. I'm so mad. This was about the time where he started saying he wanted her under the jail and all this crap. And
Yeah, this is very painful for me because I didn't think she was coming back. And I was angry. I didn't think she was coming back, but I thought that she was doing stuff that she should have been doing. I did turn her in to the police, but the motive was it was to try to get her off of the stuff. She was still doing the stuff. I didn't think she was going to come back because that man had poisoned her against me. He poisoned her against me. I thought that if she cooled off for a little period of time, everything would be fine. Everything would be fine and good, and it wasn't. So yes, I was extremely angry. I did turn her in to the police. I was angry, but that was not the precursor or the reason. The reason why I did, because I knew that she was still doping up, still monitoring police reports with that old man. That old man was a detriment to her. I wasn't living there. I did not cause her death. That old man caused her death. I didn't cause her death. That old man had caused her death. She got out, surprisingly, within a week, and then she went hardcore. We don't think of things in the immediate time. Sometimes we don't think of every little thing in the immediate time. We think in the moment. What I did was not the cause. The cause was what was going on when the police kept going to her place there with the old man. I don't want to. This is shit that doesn't need to be said. But obviously, Angela's the one that's causing this to be brought out. That old man was the detriment, and Angela did not. She was only told what she was told. Again, she didn't live here. Again, she didn't know half of the things of what she's talking about. I know what was going on because I know exactly what was going on. So, would I do it again? Would I turn her in again? That's a hard question to ask because I don't know if I would. I don't think what I did was no cause. It wasn't a cause or a reason. I just wanted to help and get her off of the drugs. I wanted to get her off the drugs. To say that I was not angry would be a lie because I was very angry. To say that I was not angry, I was very angry at the situation. But I thought that maybe that would have helped. She went through her own devices. I don't believe, it was an accident. It was her own devices, but it was an accident. I'm angry because I think about this every day. This is a trigger. And these motherfuckers out there know this is a trigger. This is something that I don't need to discuss. This is something I don't need to talk about. But this bitch has caused me to come out. This bitch has caused me to come out of this. So there is nothing more that you can say or do. Nothing more you can say or do. I have told the story. Let me go back to this.
I thought, okay, they're not going to go out to Gary's house and arrest her on this, warrant. That's what my thinking was. I didn't know they would, but that's what they did. They went and threw her in jail for about a week.
Okay, Will, has it been George's narrative that he wanted Jamie to go to jail to clean up?
Yeah.
Okay, and
Oh,
Angela, you're
God.
saying that that's not the case. He was just angry and...
Yes, I was angry, but the idea was to get her to clean up. I was angry. I'd be lying to say that I wasn't. But the idea was to clean up. I didn't think that this all would happen. I didn't think this would happen. But I knew immediately that what was going on in that old man's house wasn't good. Everything that was going on in that old man's house was not kosher or not clean. It was shit was going on, hit the fan. And we were seeing the reports of things going on. We saw the reports of cops going there, cops going in and out of that place. So I felt like it was to help her. It was to help her to get her straight. That was the whole idea. I didn't think that this would all happen this way. So no, I didn't think any of this would happen. It would the intentions were to help her. The intentions were to get her clean.
Jamie wanted to hurt her from afar.
Exactly. He even was going to outside that synagogue
Oh,
where
God.
Gary and her would go. I think it was Fridays. I don't remember.
All right, let's get past this. This is taking too long. I'm going to go past this because this is
That's
bullshit.
not gonna cause her to test positive. And plus it was illegal. He was giving her his urine so she could pass her court ordered drug testing.
And he admitted to her being on drugs with him. So yeah, that's 100% a fallacy.
He does not care about people not being on drugs. That other lady there was another lady too, I won't say her name, but he was giving her rides. She had been in jail. This lady had been in jail a lot.
Was it Ellen from Riverside?
It was.
Okay, so you see where this woman gets off and starts laughing about something that she really, and yes, unfortunately, again, Miss Ellen has died a couple of months ago. Ellen had died a couple of months ago, unfortunately, and yet she's bringing her up, or this fucker is bringing up her name because this bitch went ahead and mention her name to them. And yet, this woman was no angel neither. This woman was no saint, because I had my problems with her. But there's no need to bring up names. There's no need to bring up names to these people to make yourself, golden, or make yourself look good in front of them. Okay? That's pathetic, if you ask me. And it's also like a Benedict Arnold routine that you've got, trying to throw me under the bus like you did.
Okay, yeah, we talked to her.
Rights. Yeah, he was giving her rights.
They
She
talked
was
to
breaking
her,
him
yeah,
from jail. I don't know what else it's just, it's not a real relationship, you know?
Yeah, that's ironic you say that, because I'm looking at screenshot number 13, and Jamie says, she asks if you're speaking to him, and you say no, Angela, and Jamie replies, I'm glad. It was really amazing soon how much better my life was in every imaginable way once I stopped letting him into my head. Which also...
Again, as you know, I'm not doubting or disputing what was said. But again, most of that stuff was for dramatics. I'm not disputing what she said, but most, again, was for dramatics to kind of do whatever. We were angry at that time. She and I were extremely angry, and it was a mixture of her doing drugs and a mixture of that old man. A mixture of her still doing drugs and a mixture of that old man being involved. So yes, there were the two reasons why there was anger, and I had anger toward the whole situation.
Swings back around to what Dr. Amir was saying, that she was trying to get in that positive headspace, and not being around George is allowing her to do that. And Jamie is obviously aware that George is toxic. And
From what I gather, Jamie was living in a shelter, and she befriended a man named Orlando who wasn't in the country legally. He also lived with some other people who weren't in the country legally. So there was several people in this apartment, from what I gather, and they were always sort of like, terrified that they were going to be deported. Immigration was going to bust their door down and take them. So anyways, George, she told me she had lost her job, so there was that part. She had fallen back onto this about the time that she stopped talking to George. George kind of pushed her back onto drugs, and
I didn't push her back anywhere. Again, when someone does drugs, they're going to do it whether whoever is involved, whoever is there. I was a positive influence in her life. Those other two clowns weren't. I was a positive influence in her life because I tried to make her understand the severity of what she was doing. I warned her about the situation, and I also talked about willing to drive her to the place in Kentucky and pay for it out of my own money. I was going to drive her to Kentucky, and I was going to get her help and get her treated.
She had lost that job at IHOP, and so she wasn't bringing any money in, and I don't know exactly. They had kicked her out, so she was.
I've already discussed all of this. I've already talked about the latest conversation with Orlando. I've talked about Orlando right now, the latest conversation today. I've already discussed all this.
At the motel. And I do think she wanted to move back in with Orlando. Whenever she was there, she told me that George would be driving around looking for her. He would come outside that apartment and start yelling, Jamie, Jamie, which was kind of freaking these people out.
I did that because she wanted to go with me and ride with me in the taxi. When I did my taxi, she would always ride with me. I would get her, pick her up, and she would spend the whole night riding with me when I was doing my work.
juvenile. I just rolled my eyes. Some rolled.
You can roll your eyes. Why don't you roll your eyes in the back of your head and get singed by a damn hot chip poker in your fucking eyes? You know what, Mr. Markland? You're scum. And you know what? You need to be decapitated. And you should be decapitated. You're nothing to say. You're a 70-year-old man that has nothing to show for. Just a one-time role on Scrubs, moving around, non-speaking role actor. You tell me, you give me one instance when you actually had a role in Hollywood, when you actually did a role and spoke, and I'll give you credit. You don't deserve any credit. There are many people in Hollywood that strive to be actors and live that life from the penthouse to the outhouse. A lot of those people out there are starving actors that are trying to be noticed and trying to be known. They get that one hit, and then they don't get no jobs at all, and then they end up from the penthouse to the outhouse. And I'm sure to hell, I mean, I know you do camera work or you're a cameraman, that's probably what's paying your bills. So be it. But actor, speaking role actor, that's quite obvious you have none. Your IMBO doesn't really show anything. It only shows camera work. So yeah, in Hollywood they have a lot of use for camera people. That's what's paying your job, or that's what's paying you. But I would think by now you should be hitting Social Security by now. So maybe you're living the high life off your Social Security, working as a cameraman. I don't know what they pay for cameramen or cameraman down there, but I'll tell you one damn thing. You're not an actor, and your obsession with these child actors like Bill Numbey and from Lost in Space with Bill Numbey and one other, Burt Ward from Batman as Robin. You know, I mean, hell, I mean, you probably have some tendencies, but anyway, that's not what, you know, whatever the case might be, you're no credible source to be judging me. You're upset because I called you out. I took you to a federal courtroom and I sued you in a federal court. That's why you have this angst and venom, or this vindictive or venom toward me. Okay? And you're going to be probably going through another court case pretty soon by my hands, by what you're doing and the shit that you're doing. Because you're not untouchable. You're not Teflon. Okay? And your buddy Martine is not Teflon either. You're both touchable in the suing way.
You know, out there, some fat, obese, you know, stinky Romeo yelling for his.
I will fly you to Richmond, Will Markland, and I want you to say that to my face.
Damsel.
Matter of fact, I'll fly you this week here to Richmond. I'll pay for your air flight. And I want you to say what you just said to my face. You won't be standing. You won't be standing upright.
Yeah,
You
that-
cackling
yeah.
witch.
She, like,
Cackling witch.
was afraid that she couldn't. She was afraid that he was following her, and you can kind of see that in the text.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
going to
yeah,
say,
absolutely.
in one of the texts, I was going to bring that up, is that she's afraid that he's going to see her, and he was.
Wow. And in the next few lines, you talk about Jamie not being legally liable to pay back a gift to George. Could you give more background on that?
Yeah. George was paying for her to get liquor or gypsy cat.
I've already discussed this about the paying her back or whatever, in the period where I needed her to pay me back. Only that one period of where she needed to pay me back. I've already discussed this. I've never really asked anything from her. Never asked hardly nothing from her. So I've already discussed this. Let's move forward on this here, because this is taking way too long.
And I take solace in Jamie not falling for the bullshit, at least in this string of texts. Angela, I'd love to know, did George ever publicly take credit for any he ever like credit himself for Jamie's sobriety?
The whole, when she went to jail, it was amazing how he's always trying to spin things to like, oh, well, you know, that's going to get her off drugs. You know, to him, I think she's been on a few of those shows. She's that blonde.
Yeah.
He told me that all this crap that I'm pretty sure is all false. That she's a witch and she practiced witchcraft.
Okay, so I'm fast forwarding some of this because it's going over 2 hours. I'm got about 10 more minutes of this shit, and then I'm putting this to bed. If I stay longer than this, it's going to go to 4 hours. I'm not going through all that. I got to be up early in the morning. It's already been 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm going to spend 10 more minutes, so I got to chop this down. Witchcraft, yes, Angela, you're all about witchcraft. You talk to witches, Angela. Yeah, you do. We already know that.
And that she was insanely jealous of Sue and didn't want him going to Las Vegas and spend all the money. And he had.
All right, she's talking about Karen. Karen was a witch. Yes, Karen, the Southern girl from North Carolina, was on my show. She was a witch. That relationship lasted very short for 2 months. She was burning candles, and her daughter would ride my dog. She had mental issues. I kicked her out. I couldn't deal with her issues. I kicked her out, and that's that.
All the sex with her and just used her, and you know, she was just a good piece of tail. And
Roger and Watt are saying things to you?
somebody made a comment about me being obsessed with George because I made a comment on one of those videos where he sits there and drops my name like 20 times. You know, if I make a comment, I'm obsessed.
You are obsessed. You are very obsessed.
Not having a job.
You are so obsessed.
Roger and Watt are saying things to you?
You are very obsessed.
Somebody made a comment about me being obsessed with George because I made a comment on one of those videos where he sits there and drops my name like 20 times. You know, if I make a comment, I'm obsessed.
It was probably Roger just being Roger and not having a job and having his parents pay for everything.
Well, again, at least Roger is trying to do something right now that's beneficial. Roger is doing a podcast, and Roger is doing something that's very beneficial where there's a possibility that if he does it right, he can make some money out of it. He's doing a podcast. He's getting people together. Unlike that other buffoon, Eugene, that all they do is a smear campaign, Roger's interviewing people from different walks of life. What Eugene's doing is a smear campaign tactic on people that he doesn't even know, okay, which that channel needs to come down, and that channel will come down if I've got something to say about it. And as far as Roger is concerned, Roger is doing something that is great for the community. Roger is promoting local bands, musicians, people that have things to say in the local town and throughout the whole United States and throughout the world. Roger does it the right way. Roger can make profits off of this podcast, and I will be more than glad to give him my help with the project. We all will. Kevin will too. And Kevin is overprotective of me, and so that whole thing about what happened there with Roger and Kevin, that's totally misconstrued. So I think you all need to forget about it anyway. All right, we're going to wrap this up here.
And just Roger being Roger.
Yeah.
Angela, I'd love to get more background on. So I'm on screenshot number 34.
Jesus Christ.
About George burning Jamie's possession.
Jamie's possessions. Well, let me tell you about Jamie's possessions. I gave most of her possessions to the Goodwill, and I hold on to a few of her things that comfort me when I think about her. Okay? Most of her belongings are at the Goodwill or have been sent, and some of her stuff I still have because it comforts me when I hold it next to me. So there you go. So I think There's nothing more that needs to be said about that. I did not say I was going to burn her clothes. She got the majority of her clothes, about 3/4 to 80% of her stuff, out of my house. So then again, we're correcting another fallacy, another misspoken conception about whatever.
Yes. When she was distancing herself, because it took a few months, to totally cut him off. He had her stuff, and he wasn't going to give it back. She had it in getting the things that belonged to her.
Yeah, I mean, morally, I certainly don't either, but, I mean, if that had played out, George had called the police and had testified that she didn't live there. I mean, I imagine she wouldn't have had much legal recourse on her.
I'm going to go past this because it's a bunch of bullshit.
Wanted to roofie her, and he said, "Oh no, we're not going to do that." But he says specifically to me one time, he said, "Oh, but I did play with her a little bit while she was sleeping. No big deal." I was like, "Oh God, that's."
You know what? What I said to you was that we would wrestle. She and I would wrestle together. She would kick me and slap me. When she got mad at me, I said, "Come on, let it out, let your anger out." She would kick me, she would slap me. It didn't faze me, it didn't hurt me. I let her do it. I would wrestle her, and then one thing about Jamie Lowe, she had strong calves and strong legs. Jamie was a cheerleader in her younger day. She was a cheerleader. So she had strong legs and strong calves. And how I know? Because she kicked me one time. That's how I know. She kicked me, but she was drunk. Well, she was drunk, but being playful. And if we did things together, we were being very playful. But we were more than playful. I believe that she did love me and she cared about me. I probably loved her a little bit more. But I think that she grew to love me and she did care about me no matter whatever. And I will say this with a straight face. Today, if she was still alive, she would fucking denounce Angela, and she would tell you bitches to go fuck yourselves. Every last one of you all, she would tell you go fuck yourselves. That's what she would say if she was still here.
It's disgusting.
You're disgusting.
There's a thing in the book where George talks specifically about that. He doesn't mention the roofie thing, his friend, which I'm assuming was Matt at the time. But he says he very oddly focuses on.
Get off that.
He brought it up at least 3 or 4 times that I knew him. I mean, I'm thinking, I heard the story already. I just keep bringing it up,
It's just so telling, and I don't know what I mean, for me personally, passed out. Do you think he knows that's sexual assault and is
let's get past that shit because it's redundant.
Redeemable and has the ability to become at the least a decent person? So it's been, from that standpoint, kind of difficult to just learn all this stuff about George. I mean, it's hard to have a discussion about a guy who seemingly rates and completely defends it. From an analysis perspective, I don't really know what to say about that.
My theory is that George legitimately doesn't know that having sex with someone while they're passed out or.
Dude, you know what? Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
And then she kicked you in the gut. Well, he might have been trying to do something else to her too.
Yeah, Will, is something like that in George's book?
Where he talks about her trying to put her to bed and she kicks him?
Yeah, or just in general, I feel like you all have mentioned multiple instances.
I just talked about this. We're being playful. We would wrestle and be playful. This is garbage. I talked about it in the book. This right here, they're talking about is insinuation. It's a bunch of garbage. It's what they're trying to project and what they're trying to come up with, twisting the narrative. Once again, as many times as I've said narrative, I could be a millionaire. Twisting the narrative.
In the book of Jamie telling George not to touch her.
Yeah, she says that. George doesn't. Yeah, George admits that. He admits that Jamie told him not to touch her, and George couldn't understand why. But I mean,
It was a situation where she was in a strange mood one time. I would come up to her, give her a massage, hug her, whatever, give her a massage. At this particular day, this is at the end, she didn't want me to touch her. I said, let's get out. Let me take you back to Orlando. This is the time where we really got into an argument. I don't know what came over her because I used to be able to hug her. I used to be able to massage her. This particular day, she wouldn't let me massage her, wouldn't let me touch her. I said, all right, I'm taking you to Orlando. I got really mad, really upset, really mad. When I took her there, he was standing right there. I took her suitcase and I flung it. I was extremely mad at her, extremely mad. I took the suitcase and I flung it. I threw it across the way. And I said, you know what? That's fine. So there were arguments, and at that time there was a heated argument that was going on. Again, this is not uncommon for people. This is not uncommon to have arguments and to go through this stuff. Making it more out to what it is, making it out more than what it should be.
there's multiple times where he also says, or where she tells him that she doesn't want to be around him, she doesn't like him, and he doesn't get it.
Yeah, I remember that too. Like I said, she told me that he kept touching her, and I told her, he's just going to get more and more bold.
Who are you to say anything about anything? You also had a sexual encounter with me. So what are you talking about? You want to keep denying that? Angela, you had a sexual encounter with me. Admit it. Why do you keep denying it? Who are you to tell her anything of the such? Again, she tells you something, okay. So you're not knowing what's going on? You're not knowing the fact that she's living with me? You're not knowing the fact that we share a same bed? She's living with me. We share a same bed. We were inseparable for 6 months. For 6 solid months, we were doing things together like a couple, and we were a couple. So why is it so hard for you to get in your noggin, in your head, why it was so hard for her to, what, you tell me to move away or whatever? She would get in these moods. It puzzled me. I got angry about it. One of these moods she got into. Was angry about it. The next day, she developed MRSA. I didn't catch it. For 2 days later, she went to the hospital. I was very concerned about it. She developed MRSA. I sent Kevin over there to check up on her. Kevin told me the situation. He was all cloved up, that she was really bad. She told Kevin that basically that, she was trying to get better, and it just developed. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise. She also told me that she knew that she was catching it, and she didn't want to tell me. She told me that why she did all of that to me, because she knew, in fact, that she was going about ready to catch it. She caught it, and she didn't want to infect me with it. That's something that had developed also. Then again, Angela doesn't know any better. Angela is clueless to know that conversation that was had. But again, it's nobody's business. Nobody's fucking business about any of this.
Aggressive about it, and you can't go and pass out at his house. You just can't.
All right, we'll get past. We'll get past that. Let's get past all that. It's being redundant.
I limit my interaction with him. With a narcissist, first off, you're just always going to have a bad effect on you. They're always going to be toxic. It's always going to rub off onto you. It's kind of hard to have a friendship with a narcissist. But yeah,
Where do you come up with this? You never said that. You never called me a narcissistic person. You only start calling me narcissistic when you start talking to those trolls. You never ever said I was narcissistic. You only did when you start talking to those trolls. Go figure that one out.
I would just limit my interaction with him.
Okay.
Don't
And I'm
have
glad you
to
did,
do
because
that.
you know what? You are a peculiar duck. A very peculiar, strange person.
Don't take anything. Don't give anything to him. Don't put yourself in that role, because he's.
Okay, this thing is circling. Another thing about Angela was she was in a married woman. We already talked about that, and she wanted to have a baby with me. She was a married woman. She said that her husband could perform. She wanted to have a baby with me. I believe that she has divorced her husband, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know this for a fact, but I believe she is. What's going on with this damn thing? I believe that she has divorced her husband, if I'm not mistaken. This thing is not playing. What's going on? Okay. All right. Now this thing is paused. So that's what I do believe. We have played pretty much almost to the end of it. There's the majority. It's the thing is now circling. I don't know what's going on with the thing. Hold on. We got about another 30 minutes on here, but I'm not spending another 30 minutes with this. This thing is circling, and I don't know what's going on with this computer. It's just circling. So, and throughout all this other shit, he starts getting more brazen and talks about what he did, what he was, about my being narcissistic, about me being totally narcissistic, which is totally lunacy, which is totally ridiculous to even come up with that. All right. I've spent enough time with this. It's almost 3. I'm not going to the third hour with this. I just ain't going to do it. But I have said enough pertaining to this. You trolls can go fuck off. Every one of you trolls can go fuck off. This is the very last time that I'm going to give you any attention. You can try to pry and try to do this and do that. This is the very last time that I give you, any of you all, any fucking attention pertaining to any of this. Angela, you're a liar. You're a scornful bitch. You're a liar. And your half-sister, Donna, she was prostituting in Las Vegas, and you all were going to Las Vegas one time, and she's trying to get you to be a trick. You remember that? When she was trying to get you to be a trick? Uh-huh. Yeah. I know you don't want to talk about that, but that was something that happened, that you actually confided in me and told me that your half-sister, you couldn't deal with your half-sister anymore. She's trying to get you to be a trick. And then your one-eyed father, how your father had, as a child, how his brother went ahead and shot him in the eye, and shot your father in the eye. He only had one eye. Okay, well, that's a sad thing, a pretty sad situation, but what kind of deformality or what kind of dysfunctional family that you had. And then, of course, when you were a child, you couldn't eat, do nothing. They had you in a hospital for about 1.5 years because you couldn't, 2 years or whatever. I don't know if you were a kid, but you couldn't eat, you couldn't talk. There was deformity in your brain. There was something wrong with the wiring in your brain or whatever. All right, this thing it's meant to be, that's it. I've said my piece. I've said what I needed to say. This is not going into 3 hours. It's just not going to happen. What else do I need to say? Let it all out. I've said everything. I will fight any of you all. You want to come my way and fight me? Bring it. You want to fight me? Come knock at my door, announce your presence, and I will fight you. And I'll also, for good measure, will spit in your fucking face. I've had enough of this, okay? This obsession, this shit is fueled by this crap that Angela, and it's nobody's fucking business. Jamie, R.I.P., baby, rest in peace. Jamie, please rest in peace. Leave the woman alone and stop using her death against me. Stop doing it. And Angela, you need to shut your mouth, because once, I swear to God, it's not a question of if. It's just when I get your address, I'm going to sue you. And I have just reason to sue you, and I have people here that know the full story about what had happened. So you can say whatever you want to say, spin it any kind of way you want to spin it. You all can keep spinning it and doctor this and put more messages that were said and more messages that were said. It proves absolutely, positively nothing. Absolutely, positively zero. Nothing. That's it. That's it. I'm done. And now I go back to enjoying myself. I go back to getting more shows, starting the movie, starting the website, the movies, and getting myself back together. Getting myself back together. What a novelty idea. And that's what I'm going to do.